A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Escape! You were rushing forward through time, far into the future, trying desperately to flee the clutching fingers of a band of night creatures, a dreamlike horror from which there seems no escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight we escape to the year 100,080, and to a world where beauty and terror live side by side, as H.G. Wells described it in his immortal story, The Time Machine.
You must be mad, Dudley. A time machine.
Yes, my friend. A time machine.
This thing?
This very thing.
Well, this contraption, this whatever it is, made of quartz and brass and ivory, with its levers and dials and its seat in the middle. This is the result of 3 years' hard work?
I promise you, Fowler, that on this machine, a man can go wherever he likes in time. By working these levers, a man can choose his century, his year, his very day.
Oh, that's impossible. It's out of the question.
In one of the journeys I've already taken on this little contraption.
Well, I'm afraid you're having a bad dream.
You mean I've developed into a liar? Very well, you shall have proof, my friend.
Oh.
Just climb on, Fowler. Sit in the seat with me. I'll take you for a little spin.
You mean right now?
Right now.
Well, just in case it should work, aren't there any preparations we should make?
No, Fowler. You won't need any luggage on this trip, not even a toothbrush. You'll be back in less than a minute.
All right. I'm on. Now what?
Hold tight, because it sways a good deal. I hate to lose you.
Well, I can't be frightened, Dudley.
Then you're braver than I am. Tell me, what time is it?
It's just 12 noon.
Before we start, I want to adjust this control a bit.
Is everything shipshape?
Oh, yes. Tell me, did you notice anything just then?
Only a noise, a humming noise, nothing else.
And what time is it?
You just asked me, old man. That's funny.
What?
My watch says 11 o'clock. I could have sworn it was noon a moment ago. Must be something wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with the watch. It's only that I touched the lever to test it. And we've gone forward a full day. 23 hours at any rate.
Dudley.
Have you finished scoffing, Fowler?
Yes, I believe I have.
Then hold tight. This will be the real article.
I'm ready, Dudley.
Good man. Well, say goodbye, Fowler. Say goodbye to 1948.
We went off with a shattering jar, with machines swaying under us. The walls of Dr. Dudley's laboratory suddenly fell away, and night was speeding after day like the flapping of a black wing. I saw the sun hopping across the sky, leaping swiftly across it every second, and every second marking a day. I saw the moon spinning through her quarters like a ball, from new to full, all in the twinkling of an eye. Trees grew and blossomed like puffs of smoke and then passed away, and all the while we were going faster. And now our pace was a year a second, so that second by second the white snow flashed across the world and was followed by the bright, brief spring. And still we went on into the future.
How do you feel, Fowler?
Sort of weak and very dizzy.
Don't let go. Don't fall off.
Where are we? How far have we come?
We're in 100,000 and 50 and 60 and 70.
That's enough. Stop it, Dudley. I can't stand anymore. Stop it. Broken bones. What happened?
I'm not sure. I must have stopped too suddenly.
Where are we, Dudley?
Look around for yourself. On a wide lawn, in a beautiful, vast garden.
I meant geographically.
Just where we were when we started. We're standing exactly on the spot where my laboratory stood 100,000 years ago.
And the year?
100,080.
It seemed absolutely incredible. A dream, but a pleasant one. For the garden in which we found ourselves was beautiful and summery and inviting. At some distance we could see a large, imposing building, always quiet and peaceful, almost too much so. And a sense of strangeness, of incredible strangeness, sent a shiver up my spine.
100,080.
Dudley, have you thought what we might find here? What manner of man? What danger?
I don't see any men at all.
Well, perhaps they don't exist at all anymore. Or if they do, what are they like? How have they developed?
It's been a long interval between us, more than 100,000 years. We won't know until we see them.
And then it may be too late. Suppose the race has lost its manliness and has become a savage animal.
Do you want to go back?
Yes, Dudley, I'm frightened. Let's go back.
Dudley! From over there in the bushes.
Sounded human.
Come on.
But, Dudley, we don't have any weapons.
Come on.
Oh, it's a child. Look, it seems to be a very small girl.
There's been a beast here of some kind. It struggled with her. Look at the marks on her arms.
See here, my dear. You'll be all right now. You won't be harmed. Oh, of course. She wouldn't understand English.
I don't think it's that. She's motioning us to go with her. I don't believe they have any language at all, Dudley.
What about the animal? Did you see her?
No, not a glimpse. It was too fast for us.
Perhaps we'd better go back, Dudley. The girl seems to be all right now.
Leave her like this, without seeing her people and the way they live. You want to go back so soon?
Yeah, I've had enough.
Well, they haven't, old man. Because they're here. All around us.
They had crept up on soundless feet to surround us, the little people of this era. And the girl we'd saved was not a child, but a full-grown woman. For they all stood 4 feet high, dressed in simple tunics, beautiful creatures, but terribly frail, with a plump, soft kind of frailty. Their mouths were small, and their little chins ran to a point, and they made no sound. They were like eerie figures in a dream, and all we could hear was the heavy rustling of their clothes as they surged happily around us, their faces wreathed in smiles. Why, they're not savage at all. They're very loving and gentle little people.
Yes, but there's something terribly wrong with them.
How do you mean?
They seem to have the minds of 5-year-olds. This one over here isn't trying to talk to me with gestures. Look at him. He seems to be asking me if I've come from the sun or a thunderstorm.
How'd you expect them to be?
Far ahead of us, of course. Incredibly ahead of us in knowledge and in science. And look at them. Children.
Oh, they seem happy in this huge garden of theirs. That's something. I've changed my mind, Dudley. Maybe we shall enjoy spending a few days with our little friends. The little people led us home into their valley. They lived in colossal buildings, sleeping all together in one huge hall, eating in another, playing and frolicking together in the sunshine, and Dudley and I lived with them for days in utter contentment. One afternoon, we walked together along the banks of the great river.
There's no apparent difference among the sexes. They all wear the same clothes, have the same soft, hairless skin, same feminine roundness of limb.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because they're vegetarians.
They're vegetarians because they have to be. You haven't run across any horses or dogs or cattle of any kind, have you?
No, now that you mention it.
With good reason. They're all extinct by now. Just as the dinosaur is with us.
Dudley, there's something very strange here. Something hidden away and silent.
You may be right. Anyway, I've taken the precaution of removing the controls from the machine. I don't much fancy the idea of someone riding away with it into another century and leaving us here for the rest of our lives.
Dudley, do you recognize this bit of ground?
Why, yes, this is where we landed.
I thought so. I wasn't sure.
Why do you ask?
Can't you see? Look around. It's empty. What's happened to the machine?
They've taken it away. They stole it.
Where, Dudley? Where?
Look. See the tracks where they've dragged it? Over here. Come along. Right here. By this monument, the end of the trail.
Those are brass doors in the base, and they're locked.
The machine, it must be in there inside. We must get it straight down the door.
How? How can we?
Here, we use the levers.
It's no good, Dudley. They're solid. We'll never break through.
Never? Never? Do you mean stay here for all our lives? Do you mean never go home again? They must open the machine, the time machine!
The time machine was gone. The brass doors of the monument held. Our retreat was cut off, a thin line by which we could make our way back home, back to our own time and our own people. But there seemed nothing we could do. We had no way of communicating with the little people, of asking what they had done with the machine and why and how to get it back. They merely stood around and watched our vain efforts. There was nothing hostile in their attitude. They were more like simple, wondering children. Only one, the young woman, Weena, whose life we had saved on our first day, had become really friendly. She went with us wherever we walked and brought us presents of garlands of flowers, slept near us at night in the hall, and we in turn had taught her a few words of English. Now, we redoubled our efforts, like men racing against a clock, so that we might speak to her and discover the secret of our immense loss.
No, not these, Dudley. No.
How can you be so sure that your people didn't steal the machine? Aren't there any thieves among them? Are they all perfect?
That's a lot, Dudley. We'll waken them. Besides, she doesn't understand.
But the thief must be sleeping somewhere in this hall. Weena, they take machine.
No, Dudley. No.
Who then? Who?
We are friends.
Yes, friends.
We must have machine.
Yes, Dudley. Yes.
Who took machine? Are there other people? Not yours.
Others?
What about those doors, Weena? Doors. Open.
No. Oh, no.
Weena, machine in there must open.
No. No, not open.
All right, my dear. Go to sleep. Get some rest.
Yes, Dudley. Sleep.
You too, fella. Try anyway.
Yeah, I've tried. It's no good.
What's to become of us, Val? Are we caught here in this century? Should we spend our lives with the little people and their secret?
Try to sleep, Dudley. We'll go back to the monument tomorrow. We'll find a way of breaking in. Dudley.
Yes?
Did you just... There it is again. What? Something on my face. Cold and frozen with the touch. On my face and in my hair. Cold as death.
Dudley!
You're right, my boy. There's something in here with us.
I smell the grave. What was it?
I don't know. But look at them. The little people are all awake. It's as though they've been stampeded.
Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. We went quickly through the hall, outside, away from the frantic rustling of the little people and into silence. The moon was full just overhead, and it was close to dawning. There was a faint sound speeding close behind us, and we turned, our nerves ragged and our muscles tensed. But it was only Weena coming swiftly to join us.
Weena, come closer, my girl.
Dudley.
Tell us, what do your people fear? What makes them afraid?
Afraid. Darkness.
And there is something.
What do you mean, darkness?
Dark things. Dark places. Night.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
Why should they be afraid of the night, Dudley?
Perhaps it's not the night alone. Dark places. That's our cue. Perhaps it's something underground.
By now it was light, another day. We had wandered into a lovely wooded place, about a mile from the community. Suddenly, Weena screamed. We stopped short. A pair of glaring eyes was fixed upon us. As we stood there petrified, the thing, a little ape-like figure, rushed across our path and disappeared in a clearing about 30 yards away. What was it?
I couldn't see it too well. It seemed to be dull white, with white hair on its head and down its back.
Looked like a small ape.
That's because it was running on all fours and with its arms held very low.
Weena, what's the matter?
Morlocks. They are Morlocks.
Who are the Morlocks? What are they? Weena, tell me.
No, Billy.
Let's go over there and see where it disappeared. In the clearing, we found a round, well-like opening. I leaned over and looked down a deep shaft, and as I did so, I saw a small white creature retreating down a ladder in the well. Something like a human spider. Its large, bright eyes watching me as it went swiftly down, and then it disappeared in the shaft.
Paula, did you see it? Like a ape?
Yeah, but like a man.
So there are two species of men in this world. Hey, fella.
Yes.
The little people above the ground, and this obscene thing, this bleached monster below. Two races of men in this country.
That white look. It's common to animals that live in the dark, like huge rats, like worms that are cold to the touch. I know because they've touched me.
You can feel air being sucked down into the shaft.
Yes.
The earth must be tunneled enormously here under our feet. And these monsters live in the tunnels.
I think we know now who stole our time machine.
Yes, I'm sure.
Then
we'll go down and have a look.
No, don't go.
Why not, Weena?
Morlocks, you never come back.
We've got to have our machine, my dear. You wait for us here.
No.
But we went down, our heels ringing on the small metallic bars that were meant for creatures so much smaller than we. Down we climbed, down, ever in darkness. Down, it seemed, into the center of the earth, the core of the world. How much longer?
We won't know till we reach bottom.
We can only stop and rest.
It can't be much further.
I'm so terribly tired.
Hang on, old man. You hear that? Like machinery. We're almost there.
Oh, thank heaven for that.
All right, Paula. I'm at the bottom. Come along, just a few more steps. Give me your hand, Paula. Good. We're here.
In the land of the Morlocks.
You have a match?
Yeah. Here.
There seems to be a large vaulted cavern at the end of the passage.
What do you suppose they'll do if they catch us?
I've no idea, so we'd better take care not to get caught. Another match.
That throbbing noise.
It's probably the ventilating system pumping air down. There must be thousands upon thousands of these Morlocks living under the earth.
And we haven't seen any yet, except for our friend who came down ahead of us. Why do you suppose they wanted our time machine?
I think they wanted us, Dudley, not the machine.
And we've come to them.
We must. It's our only chance. Paula! If that noise does come from air pumps, why is it so stuffy here? So oppressive?
Dudley, that smell.
Blood. Light another match.
Dudley, look! Straight ahead on the white metal table.
It's set for a meal.
Yes, with a big chunk of bloody meat.
And we know that cattle are extinct.
What do they feed on, these Morlocks?
Don't you know?
I guess I do.
Another match.
All right, Dudley? I haven't got any more. We've used our last match.
All right, we'll have to go back there then. We know the secret now, anyway. The Morlocks living here underground
are the masters of this age. And our friends up above, fatted cattle, fed by the Morlocks, clothed and supplied and housed until the day when they're cut out from the herd and brought underground as food. This is the future you're looking at. This is what we men of the 20th century shall come to.
Wait, what is it?
I felt hands, cold hands.
Take one of these levers. Use it as a weapon. Lash out. Against the wall. Fowler, here beside me. Dudley, what do we do? Do! Fight them! Can't use your evil man like this! Dudley, they're all around us. This way, Fowler, this way, back this way!
We went back in that evil darkness, fighting every step as we went, back to those projecting bars, kicking and clawing ourselves loose from their pallid, grasping hands and climbing up again toward daylight and freedom, away from their stench and the eagerness of their icy hands. And they didn't follow, for daylight was their enemy and their great fear. And we lived among the lush gardens of the gentle little people like prisoners, like men without reprieve, like men who are dead, while they still walk the earth. For the time machine was locked away behind great brass doors, and we knew we could never force them open. Then, one day, Weena told us of an old building, an ancient, staggering structure that had survived through many ages and was filled with many curious objects.
A museum. That's what it must be, a museum, Fowler. Perhaps from some earlier time.
Oh, I'm in no mood to go looking at a museum.
But don't you see? Specimens are hermetically sealed in museums. Perhaps there are things, weapons, machinery, something we could use.
Oh, sure. If we could find some dynamite or gunpowder or something.
We could blast those doors. We could get in.
Where is this place, Weena? This old building that no one ever goes near.
I'll take you, Fowler. It's not far.
A chance, old man. A slim chance, but a chance nonetheless.
All day we wandered through the great ruined halls. The building had been deserted and in disuse for perhaps a century. The childlike men of that time had long since ceased to care about anything but their own personal comforts. It was late afternoon and growing dark when we came upon the chemical section. We'd found nothing useful to us until then. And now came the worst disappointment of all.
And it's dust. All of it. It's been dust for centuries.
Another dead end. It's hopeless.
We were out of our heads to hope that nitrates would retain their form for 100,000 years.
We better go if nothing here.
Wait just a moment. There's something in this case.
You can break it with your lever.
Stand back a little. Hallelujah. A box of matches, hermetically sealed.
It's perfect. Not even damp.
And what should we do with them? Burn down those brass doors?
Oh, better keep them anyway. At least we can smoke again. And you can't tell.
Fowler.
Yeah?
On the floor. See them? Small, narrow footprints leading away into the darkness at the end of the gallery.
Dudley.
We'd better go.
Pick Ween up and carry her. We'll have to run for it.
Don't be frightened, my dear. It'll be all right.
Go on, run!
We came out of the gloom of that place into the deeper gloom of dusk. Suddenly we saw we were trapped. All around us were the Morlocks. They were the thousand, surrounding us and coming closer, a long, even line of deathly white, their eyes blinking in the half-light, and their tiny mouths alive with appetite. The matches, Dudley. Light a fire. Here, the forest is dry.
Good. We'll have an inferno here in a minute. And our little friends don't like light or heat.
The fire leaped high to the heavens, and the countryside was ablaze. The Morlocks turned in fear, blinded by the glare. Some of them burned into the middle of the raging flames, and the rest faded away like a fog. Dudley had left a narrow passageway for our retreat, and we fled down a long corridor of leaping flames and blistering heat. We fled to safety. We fled back toward the community of the little people. And as we ran, we passed the huge monument with its great bronze doors that were locked tight on our time machine. And suddenly, in the glare of the distant fires, we saw something that stopped us short.
They're open. Fowler, the doors are open.
No, not go in, Dudley, no.
It's a trap. They're ready for us inside.
Ready or not, we're going in.
Dudley, it's suicide.
It'll take me about 1 minute to screw the levers in again. Then I touch them and we're away.
All right. I'll try to give you your 1 minute.
Good boy.
No, go, not leave me.
You, my dear, you hold tight around my neck. You're coming home with us.
All right, let's go.
We're in. Look! The machine. They haven't harmed us.
I don't see them.
Yet. Come on, quickly.
Give me that other lever.
The doors, Dudley, they're closed.
Get in the seat. I'll be ready in a minute.
I waited for the hum that would signal our departure, and there in the darkness, the Morlocks were finally upon us. Cold, persistent fingers swarmed over my body, tugging at me, sucking me away from the machine, but I held tight to Weena as a man holds fast to life, and tried to kick them away with my feet. Hurry, Dudley! Hurry!
I can't seem to get these levers.
Quick, or we're done!
Just another turn, and it's... There, Fowler. We're away. They're gone.
Oh, we made it.
You all right?
I'm all right.
Good. And Weena?
Weena isn't with us.
What happened?
They tore her from my hands. At the last minute, they got her. I tried to save her. I couldn't. I know, old man. I still got a piece of her tunic here in my fist. A little piece of her tunic, Dudley. But nothing else. And so we came home again. Back into the very minute from which we had left. Back into 12 noon, May 9th, 1948. We were in Dudley's laboratory again, motionless, sitting on the ridiculous contraption which he called a time machine. Was it all a dream? A mad and feverish dream? Did any of it happen? Could any of it happen? No, of course not. How stupid. But then, what's this? What of this jagged piece of thick green silk I hold in my hand? What does that mean?
Escape, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, tonight brought you The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, adapted for radio by Irving Ravitch, with Eric Rolfe as Fowler, Jeff Corey as Dudley, and Kay Brinker as Weena. The musical score was conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Next week.
You are wandering in a vast white solitude, torn by the icy blast of Arctic winds, your strength ebbing and frozen death creeping up on you, and behind you a man with a gun from whom there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with another great story of high adventure by one of the world's best-known authors. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Escape!
You are fighting your way through a frozen wilderness, torn by the icy blast of an Arctic blizzard, and driving you on towards certain death is a man with a gun, from whom you cannot escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight we escape to the Canadian North Woods, to a lonely wilderness where justice finds strange paths, as James Oliver Curwood told it in his famous story, The Match.
Below the Arctic Circle, where blizzards scream in the winter and tear frozen branches from the pine trees, where the driven sleet cuts human skin like flying glass, there men know and fear the eternal spirit of the icy north, the great cold spirit that weaves the patterns of human destiny, both weaves and destroys. Forever and again, the spirit throws out strange swirls of chance and coincidence that meet eventually in a terrible whirlpool which swallows up the old pattern and creates some new and different one for men to wonder and marvel at. One such swirl in time and space began months ago and far to the south, in a logging camp near the southern border of Canada, where two men faced each other on a narrow trail in the light of a full moon. It began in violence and hatred.
What do you want, Loring?
Thorne, I've been talking to Jeannie. She told me what you did.
Well, what about it?
She told me all of it, the whole thing.
Too bad, Loring. But if you can't keep your wife from casting her eye around, then that's your tough luck.
There were no eyes cast around, and you know it.
All right, then. What are you going to do about it?
I'm not sure yet.
Then I'll tell you. Nothing. You haven't got a leg to stand on. I'm running this camp and every man in it. If you don't like what I do, then get out.
I'm planning to stay.
In that case, you'd better get used to the way I run things. Men and women. And the next time I drop in...
Why, you dirty...
That's it, eh? Well, then...
Drop that knife, Thorne. Drop it! Get up, Thorne. Come on, get up on your feet. Get up, Thorne. What's the matter with you? Thorne. Thorne. That rock under his head. He's dead. Jeannie?
Billy, what's wrong?
Jeannie, I ran into Thorne a few minutes ago.
Oh, Billy, your hand. What did you do?
I hit him, Jeannie. He started to pull a knife, so I knocked him down. His head hit a rock when he fell. He's dead.
No. Oh, no.
They probably won't find Thorne till morning, so I've got to get out of here in the next half hour.
Leave?
I'm new here, Jeannie. They don't know me. It's just my word. I wouldn't have a chance.
Where'll we go?
Not you. You're going to take the baby and go back to the cottage in New York State.
Well, where are you planning to go?
North, honey. A long ways north. I'll have a better chance up there in the woods.
They'll catch you, Billy. They always do.
Don't worry. They won't catch me. And somehow, sooner or later, we're going to be back together again. Believe me.
And so in the south, one black swirl of chance is born and moves slowly northward through time and space. Moves even as the great Arctic storms move across the faces of continents. And there ahead of it, among the tumbled ridges of spruce and pine, another swirl of human fate moves at the whim of the bleak spirit of that frozen land. Moves first one way, then another, but centers always near one certain red-coated uniform of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Centers on the hard, lean figure of a man called Sergeant Brokaw.
Nice shot, Sergeant.
Thanks, Trooper.
The captain sent me to...
Wait. There's one more target still up out there.
Dead center. Brother, I wish I could shoot like that.
Work on it. Good shooting's something you'll need if you stay in the Mounties.
I guess it's helped you plenty of times.
Yeah, you. What have you got there? Telegram?
Yeah. It's an order the captain told me to bring out to you. Here.
Let's see. Special assignment for apprehension and return of a fugitive. Name, Billy Loring. Height, 5 feet 11 inches. Weight, and so on and so on. Last seen near Hobbs Landing on October 3rd and reported heading north. Wanted for murder. Sergeant Brokaw signed. Instruction, bring back fugitive.
They make it sound plenty simple, Sergeant. Bring back fugitive.
That's just the way it ought to sound. When you're assigned to bring a man in, you bring him in. That's all there's to it. There's no excuse and no alibi for not doing it. You can take my word on it, Trooper. I've been doing it for 12 years.
And so far, you've never missed getting your men?
Not so far, not ever. When I go after a man, I'm going to get him, sooner or later. One way or another, I'm going to bring him back. Every time. And that goes for this, what's his name, Loring. You can bet your life on it.
So they grew in time and space, these two great swirls of chance, the one hovering in the north and the other moving toward it slowly across 1,000 miles and through 227 days. And one night at last they met in a tiny raw pine cabin hidden in the blizzard-frozen marsh hard up against the Arctic Circle. And the wild whirlpool born from that meeting created strange, new patterns of human life and death and destiny.
All right, Loring. Let's have your other wrist. There.
You don't need these handcuffs. You've got me, that's that.
I don't take chances, Loring. You know it already, of course, but you're under arrest in the name of the Crown for murder. You can sit down in that chair by the stove.
Thanks. Funny, I've lived here all winter, and I've had pretty good luck trapping. Been selling furs to the Indians. In another month, I'd have had enough to go away and meet my wife. And you come along.
Tough luck, Loring. We start back to the post in the morning, or at least as soon as this blizzard lets up.
That'll be 3 days. It always is. What's your name?
Brokaw. Sergeant Brokaw.
That's kind of funny somehow, today being the day you found me.
That I did. I hate to be camping out in that blizzard tonight. What's so funny about today?
It's her birthday. I mean, my wife, Jeannie. Here, let me show you.
Hold it, Loring.
Oh, no. It's all right. It's just her photograph. Here, let me unwrap it. See?
Pretty girl.
Yeah, that and everything else, Sergeant. You married?
No.
That's some of her hair. That curl that's into the picture.
Yeah. Red, isn't it?
It's like red gold. We got married on her birthday. So today's our wedding anniversary, too. She wanted it that way. She said the best things in her life always happened on her birthday.
Yeah. Well...
Yeah, I guess it was crazy. But I was so happy when I got up this morning about what day it was and only 2 months to go and all. I put 2 places at the breakfast table, and I propped her picture up by one of them. I sat there talking to her while we ate together. I guess you get like that up here alone. I haven't seen a white man for 3 months. I had a little dog for a while, but he died about 6 weeks ago, and there wasn't any chance to get another one. Jeannie always liked dogs. Dogs and kids. You don't mind my talking this way, do you, Sergeant? Kind of helps.
I don't mind. Why should I?
Well, the thing is, we've always been so blamed crazy about each other. We've never been apart until this came up. And then we had to be. And in another month or two, we'd have been back together.
It's your own fault, Loring. It's not my concern. My job is to find you and bring you in.
I've done part of that, and I will do the rest of it.
Maybe so. I warn you right now, Sergeant, I'll make it as tough for you as possible. I'm going to get away if I can. You see, I promised her that we'd be together again.
It's up to you, Loring. But if you start to play rough, I can play a whole lot rougher. One way or another, I'm going to bring you in to stand trial. There's nothing can stop me.
Maybe so, Sergeant.
You see, I'm probably the hardest man in the whole Royal Canadian Mounted, Loring. And that's your hard luck, too. Because you might have softened up another man with that stuff you were telling.
You think that's why I talked about it?
I don't know, and I don't care. The only thing that matters is that I've got a job to do. I always have done it, and I'm going to do it this time. You can depend on that.
I guess duty's a big part of your life.
Not a big part of it, Loring. It's all of it. Now, if you don't mind, I've come 15 miles through the snow today. Last 5 against the blizzard. I'm tired. Let's turn in.
All right, sure.
You can take the bunk. Leave your clothes on.
Is it all right if I get that photograph off the table?
Go ahead. All right. Put your feet together.
Huh? What's the chain for?
Another reason to call me hard. I'm going to padlock it around your ankles.
You are cautious.
That's right, Loring. There. Call out if you want anything in the night. If you try to get up without calling, I'll kill you. I'll sleep here in the chair. And this gun happens to be cocked.
Thanks for warning me. Good night, Sergeant.
Good night.
By the way, Sergeant Brokaw.
Yeah?
It's too bad you never got married.
Why?
Because when you go to sleep, you've nobody to dream about.
Billy, Billy, darling, can you hear me?
Yes, Jean. Yes, darling.
Never mind the blizzard. It doesn't matter. We've been in storms before.
Yes, I remember.
And today's my birthday. And also the day we were married. Nothing can really hurt us. Everything's going to be all right.
Yes, Jean. Yes, everything is going to be all right.
Billy.
Yes, Jean.
Remember one time in the fall? We built a bonfire and roasted ears of corn. That was in the field back of the cottage.
Yes, 2 years ago. That was on your birthday, too.
Yes. And do you remember how the smoke would always get in your eyes? And how it would follow you around and make you cough and sneeze?
Sure, I remember.
Remember? The smoke, Billy. The smoke.
Sure, I remember.
Billy. The smoke. The smoke.
What? Smoke. The cabin's on fire. Sergeant. Sergeant Brokaw. Wake up. The cabin's on fire.
Good Lord.
Will you get this chain off my feet? I can't walk.
No time. The whole roof's on fire. Here. I'll carry you. Oh, can't see the door. Oh, here it is. Well, looks like we made it.
Thanks, Sergeant.
I gotta get back in there. All our stuff's in there.
You can't make it. There goes the roof.
I guess you know the spot we're in, Loring.
Yes, I know. Our heavy coats, mittens, snowshoes, and all of our food is burning up inside there.
And it's 40 below. The blizzard's just starting. Here, you can't lie there in the snow. Get that chain off your ankles. There you are.
Thanks, Sergeant. What about the handcuffs?
Hey, stay on, Loring.
Are you crazy? What difference does it make? We haven't a chance. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, I know.
We couldn't be any worse off. We don't even have a match. I saw you fill your case and put it in your coat. It's inside there. We don't even have a match.
I know that, Loring. I know everything else you're going to tell me. You don't have enough clothes to keep us from freezing to death. If we stay here and keep the fire going, we'll starve. 60 miles to the nearest post and 20 miles to Thoreau's, the next cabin down the trail. We might make 10 miles if we're lucky. More likely 5.
That's right. So why the handcuffs?
You've been living up here for 3 months, Loring. I've got an idea. You probably know some cabin a lot closer than Thoreau's. Some Indian or a trapper. Maybe not more than 2 or 3 miles away. You want to start breaking trail?
Well, suppose I did. What of it? Something good has always happened to me on Jeannie's birthday, and I think it has this time, Sergeant. It's a lot easier to freeze to death than to go back and die the way I'd be doing it. So...
Oh. So it's like that.
It's like that. Unless you want to make a deal.
What kind of a deal?
Take off these cuffs, give me that revolver, and I'll get you out of this. It's a cabin, all right.
Sorry, Loring. No deal.
You're a fool, Brokaw. I got nothing to lose, but you're just tossing your life away. How about it?
You'll take turns breaking trail. You can lead off first. We may as well start.
Where?
Thoreau's, of course.
20 miles. Why don't we sit down and freeze to death here instead of 5 miles from here?
Because I'll be 5 miles closer to bringing you in. Come on.
You're a fool, Sergeant. You're beaten, and you know it. Why don't you give in?
Come on, Loring. Let's get going. Loring, how far do you think we've come by now?
I don't know. Let's rest for a minute.
Yeah, pretty winded myself. 5 miles, you think?
I'd say about 4. 16 more to Thoreau's. Think we'll make it, Sergeant?
We'll try it.
We only had some way of building fires. We could stop and get warm once in a while.
Not even an Indian could build a fire in this blizzard without matches.
Yeah. The wind is slacking off a bit.
Which means it'll get colder. Now we better move on.
Sergeant, how about taking off these cuffs? They're freezing to my skin. Look, I'm bleeding on both wrists.
Then why don't you take us to that cabin you know about?
Want to make that deal?
No deal.
No deal, no cabin.
And I'm sorry for you, Loring. But the cuffs stay on.
Why? What difference can it make? We'll both be dead in 2 hours anyway.
If we are, you'll still be wearing those cuffs. And this gun will still be in my holster. Dead or alive, you'll still be my prisoner.
The hardest man in the mountains.
Are you ready, Loring?
Sure, why not?
I lit out for a while. Come on, let's go.
Of all those who dwell in this frozen land, the bleak, cruel spirit of the North is known best to men on the open trail. There, facing the breath of the blizzard, eyes blinded by the driving sleet, a man feels his soul grow small within him. And when that happens, his mind may turn to strange fantasies and to memories of a faraway voice.
Billy? Can you hear me, Billy?
Yes, Jeannie.
Everything's going to be all right, Billy. I love you. And everything's going to be all right.
Sure.
The snow doesn't matter. And the blizzard doesn't matter. They'll be gone soon. And there'll be only us.
Yeah. I can see you now standing there at the gate. In front of the cottage.
That's right, darling. Don't look at the snow and the icy trees and the storm. Look at me instead. See?
Yeah. It's spring. The sunshine.
And I'm wearing my hair the way you've always liked it. It's in curls all tumbled. See, Billy?
Yeah. Oh, Jeannie. But, Brokaw, what's the matter?
Tired. rest a while.
You can't lie there like that. You'll be asleep in 5 minutes. That'll be the end.
4 hours. How much farther?
Around 14 miles. Come about 6 altogether.
Your hands. In pretty bad shape.
I don't know, Sergeant. I can't feel anything now.
Might as well. Take those cuffs off. Stick out your hands.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Here's my gun.
How come?
I'm through. Beat. I'm giving in, Laurie. Take us to that cabin. What's wrong with you?
You're too late, Sergeant.
What do you mean?
The cabin's about 2 miles from where mine was. We're over 4 miles from it now. Neither one of us can last another half mile.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Well, looks like you win, Laurie.
You might call it that. Tough on you, though. I was going to die anyway.
Well, may as well keep moving.
Why? This is as good a place as any.
Not going to stop trying as long as I can move. You can do what you like, Laurie. I'm going on.
Wait a minute, Sergeant. If we had a fire and we could get warm for a while, then we could make that cabin without much danger.
Yeah, we haven't.
Suppose I say the word that'll save both of us, get us out of this. Will you go back to headquarters and tell them I'm dead?
No, I can't do that. In 12 years of the service, I haven't run up a white flag once. I'm not going to do it now. Dying or no dying.
Duty, huh?
Call it whatever you want. We'll make you a square offer, though. Pull us out of this, and I'll give you 24 hours head start. As soon as we're both on our feet again.
You're all right, Brokaw. Funny, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I couldn't let you go on down the trail there. You'd stumble into a drift and be dead before you made half a mile, and I'd have been safe then. Funny, I don't know why I'd do it. Maybe it's on account of her.
What's your plan, Larry? What have you got in mind?
I'll take the offer of 24 hours, Brokaw. I've got a match.
Match?
Yeah, just one. I remember dropping it in my pants pocket yesterday. It's on this side. Maybe you can get to it. Your hands are in better shape than mine.
I can't seem it. Yeah, here it is. It's dry, too.
Don't drop it. It's the only one.
Yeah, gotta have some branches. Dry back. Here, you hold it while I get some off that birch tree.
All right.
Match. Don't drop it, Lawrence. Pull it careful.
Yeah, I got it.
Bark's dry underneath. Ought to be all right to start it.
That should burn all right.
We ought to have some dry paper, just to make sure.
I've got some. Hold the match.
Oh, paper wrapped around that photograph.
Here you are. Funny, I was thinking about her when I remembered the match. I guess she's the one that's really going to light this fire.
There it is. You want to strike it? You want me to?
You go ahead. My hands are still pretty stiff.
All right. You want to have something dry to scratch it on.
There's a gun file in my same pocket. Reach in and get it.
All right. Yeah, here it is.
All right.
Well.
It's up to her now. All right, Jeannie, strike the match.
Oh.
Brokaw.
Oh.
Brokaw, what's the matter?
The match. Lowering it went out.
No.
Our only chance and it went out.
Oh, that's...
I gotta get moving. I gotta get this door open.
Brokaw, you can't make it.
I gotta go. As long as I'm alive. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going.
Brokaw, you don't have a chance. Brokaw! It's gone. Well, what's the difference? Here or half a mile farther? It's not so bad. It's kind of peaceful. Dreamy. So peaceful, it's just like going to sleep.
Don't go to sleep, Billy. Wake up.
Everything's going to be all right, Jeannie.
Wake up. Darling, you can't go to sleep. You've got to wake up. The smoke, Billy. Don't you remember the smoke?
Huh?
We're going to be together again. Open your eyes.
Huh?
Together again. Open your eyes.
Huh? What? Smoke. The fire. It's burning. Spark from that match must have caught. Jeannie! The fire is burning. The fire!
And so one man finds eternal sleep on the frozen breast of the snow, and one man dreams beside a fire, whose tongues of flame are like the red curls of a woman's hair. When the blizzard has stripped the little things away, and the soul of a man stands facing the blast, clean and bare and alone, then what is right and what is wrong? Does justice depend on the striking of a match? Is human destiny only a thing of accident and of chance? Ask the icy voice of the Arctic storm. Ask the cold, bleak spirit of the great North woods.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought you The Match by James Oliver Curwood, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with Frank Lovejoy as Billy, Wilms Herbert as Sergeant Brokaw, Cynthia Corley as Jeannie, Nestor Paiva as Thorne, and Clark Cuney as the trooper, with Stan Waxman as the narrator. The musical score was conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Next week.
You are trapped on a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense river of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive, a deadly black army from which there is no escape.
Next week, we bring back the escape story you have most requested in your letters, Carl Stevenson's gripping tale, Leiningen versus the Ants. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Isolated on a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense army of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive, a deadly black army from which there is no escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the Amazon jungle and to a creeping, crawling terror, as Carl Stevenson told it in his gripping story, Leiningen versus the Ants.
First met Leiningen while performing my duty as district commissioner. As my boat neared his plantation landing, I saw him upon the riverbank, regarding me with mild interest. A great hulk of a man with bristling gray hair, bulky nose, and pale eyes. His entire appearance somehow suggested an aging and shabby eagle. He escorted me to the terrace and had a drink brought. I came quickly to the point of my visit and issued my warning. Leiningen puffed placidly at a huge cigar and listened as I told him, unless they alter their course, and there's no reason why they should, they'll reach your plantation in 2 days at the latest.
Uh-huh. Well, it was decent of you paddling all this way just to give me the tip.
Tip?
Commissioner, even a herd of crocodiles couldn't drive me from this plantation of mine.
But these aren't creatures you can fight. They're an elemental force, a gigantic catastrophe. 10 miles long, 2 miles wide. Ants, nothing but ants. And each one as big as your thumb. And each of them a fiend from hell. Unless you clear out at once, there'll be nothing left of you but a skeleton picked as clean as your own plantation will be.
I'm not getting out.
But you can't fight.
Yes, I can. I've got the best weapon there is, Commissioner. Intelligence.
But can't I make you understand the hideous...
I think it is you who do not understand. In the 3 years I've been here, I've met and defeated more than one catastrophe. Flood, drought, the plague. Events which caused many of my neighbors to flee for their lives. No, Commissioner, all my life I have lived with one creed. The human brain needs only to become fully aware of its powers to conquer even the elements.
Leiningen, your obstinacy is endangering not only your own life, but the lives of your workers and their families. You don't know these ants. I tell you, you don't know these ants. But Leiningen merely sat there, puffing at his cigar and regarding me with a smug grin, and I knew it was hopeless. As I boarded my launch and cast off, I realized I'd never met a man like that, and I could not help wondering
about the strange look in the commissioner's eyes as he boarded his launch and cast off. Undoubtedly, he thought me insane. Well, he would not have been the first to think so. But I, Leiningen, knew my own powers. I was sure of myself. I knew that intelligence, directed aright, always makes man the master of his fate. That night, I called my Indian workers together in front of the plantation house. I saw their faces go ashen with terror as I told them that the ants were coming. Watched them as they milled around, muttering. I said nothing more to them. Finally, one of the men stepped forward. Blas, the foreman.
Patron, we have worked hard here for these 3 years. All of us. We have built the finest plantation in this district. We all share in it. It has been a home for all of us and our families. Now the ants come.
So?
Those ditches we dug last year, the pipe we put in the ground, that was for the ants?
Yes, that was for the ants.
If we moved our families across the river, the ants could not reach them?
Yes, that's right. And you?
The ants are mighty. We know what they can do. All of us think that you are mighty. Patron, we will stay with you and fight against the ants.
I knew that the men would give me that answer. I counted on it. I thought of the commissioner and wondered what he would say at such unquestioning confidence. Would he still think I was insane? Or had he dismissed me?
Out of my mind. One man who calmly evaluated his chances against a deadly menace, coolly decided he could win and was willing to stake his life on it, to risk a horrible death for it. It was terrifying. And yet it was fascinating. The next morning I sent for my assistant. Together we went to the huge map of the district which hung from a wall of my office and checked the last reported position of the ants.
Last night they had reached here, about 70 miles above this fork in the river.
Traveling southeast?
Yes.
Directly toward Leiningen.
Toward whom, sir?
That plantation at the bend in the river belongs to a man named Leiningen. When would you say the ants will reach there?
Oh, I don't know. I mentioned about tomorrow noon.
Tomorrow noon, still time.
Still time? What do you mean, sir?
Why, nothing. But what did I mean? Still time for what? For Leiningen to flee, or still time for me to... Even as I rejected the thought with horror, I knew that the fascination of that man was more than I could resist. That Leiningen's fight was drawing me back toward that plantation and death. I knew now past all doubt that I was going back. I had to. It was 10 o'clock in the morning when I rounded the bend and saw Leiningen's plantation before me. I put in at the dock and tied up the launch. Then I saw him standing on the bank above me, arms folded, stubby cigar in his mouth, and that same smug grin on his face. I made my way up to him.
Back with another warning, Commissioner?
No.
Back to stay a while?
Yes. You don't seem surprised.
No, I'm not.
You expected me?
I thought you'd be back. Come along. We'll get some horses. You'll want to ride around the plantation, take a look at the defenses I've rigged up.
Yes, I'll want to see the defense.
And the ants. We'll be getting a glimpse of them before long, I should think.
Yes, the ants. The defenses Leiningen had devised were quite impressive. Surrounding three sides of the plantation like a huge horseshoe was a ditch, 12 feet wide. The ends of this horseshoe-shaped ditch ran into the river which formed the fourth side of the plantation. And at the upriver entrance to the ditch, Leiningen had constructed a dam by which the river water could be diverted into the ditch. A large hand wheel controlled the floodgate of the dam, and apparently Leiningen had ordered it opened immediately after my arrival. For as we now approached the ditch and rode along it, I could see that it was nearly full.
How do you like my first line of defense, Commissioner?
It's reassuring, like a moat around a castle.
Unless the ants know how to build rafts, they won't reach the plantation. But this is only the outer moat. There's a better one than this. Now, come along. We'll go up to the high ground where the buildings are. I can get a view from there.
Leiningen.
Huh?
I didn't see any women or children around the plantation or any animals.
Yes, that's right. Moved them across the river.
Then even you think there is danger.
Not because of danger, Commissioner. Matter of efficiency.
Efficiency?
Yes, cuts down on the efficiency of the men if they're worried about their families. Critical situations only become crises when oxen and women get excited.
I see.
Here we are. See the ditch?
It's much smaller than the others.
Yes, you've noticed how all the buildings are on this piece of high ground. The inner ditch surrounds them, and it's lined with concrete.
But even filled with water, this is no barrier. It's not big enough. Why, if the ants get this far...
They'll get no farther. This ditch wasn't built for water, Commissioner. You see the pipes leading into it? See those storage tanks on the hill? Petrol. We can throw up a wall of flame. Care to bet they won't like that?
I hope you're right. Leiningen, look. Over at the edge of the jungle, all those animals.
Yes. Running like the wind. Everything from jaguars to monkeys.
Good heavens.
Remember, they don't have any ditches.
But can they escape?
Now, they'll be all right as long as they don't get caught between the river and the ants. They can outrun the crawlers. But if they get trapped, it's either the ants or the crocodiles. Look. Up there over the horizon. There are your ants. Look at them.
It was a sight I will never forget. Over the range of hills, as far as I could see, crept a darkening hem, ever longer and broader until the shadows spread across the entire slope, then downward, uncannily swift, and all the green herbage on the entire slope was being mowed as by a giant sickle, leaving only the vast moving shadow extending and deepening, and all was moving nearer.
They're a hideous lot.
Leiningen, we can't last against that. Look at them. Why, they will fill your ditches with their corpses and still have enough to destroy every one of us. We've got to run.
Well, no, they haven't gotten to us yet, and they never will.
The hostile army was approaching in perfect formation. No human battalions, however well drilled, could ever hope to rival the precision of that advance. Along a front that moved forward as uniformly as a straight line, the ants drew nearer and nearer to the water ditch. As they approached, two outlying wings of the army detached themselves from the main body and started marching along the sides of the ditch, no doubt expecting at some point to find a crossing. And during this hour-long flanking movement, the main army remained still. Across the scant 12 feet of ditch, I stared at them, and they stared back at me. Solid mass, every one as big as my thumb, with reddish-black body and long legs. Suddenly, a sound so unearthly as to freeze our blood jerked our heads in the direction of the jungle on the far side of the ditch. Coming toward the ditch at a stumbling gallop was a singular being, a writhing, animal-like blackened statue with a shapeless head and 4 quivering feet. It was a stag, covered over and over with ants. Leiningen threw up his rifle, and the stag fell lifeless to the ground, its agonies at an end. Horrified as I was, my curiosity impelled me to glance at my watch. I had to know how long the ants would take. After 6 long minutes, only the white polished bones of the stag remained. Now I could see a change in Leiningen. Gone was the sporting zest of the novel contest. In its place was a cold, violent purpose. He had to beat the ants because he now knew how long it would take them once they got to us. Around 4 in the afternoon, the ant scouts, having found no crossing, there was a stirring among the main army. And then an immense flood of ants about 100 yards in width commenced pouring in a glimmering black cataract down the far slope of the ditch. Thousands drowned instantly, but the rest began using the bodies as bridges. Leiningen immediately swung into action.
Close the dam, open the floodgate a little more. We've got to get the water in the ditch moving faster.
Si, senor.
Look at them drowned by the thousands.
But they keep coming. Even though the current carries many of them away, they're advancing.
Well, we'll fix them. What?
Yes, senor.
How about those shovels and petrol sprinklers? You passed them out to the men?
Yes, it has been done.
Then get all hands here in a hurry. This looks like a spot for action.
Hey.
Commissioner.
Yes?
Beginning to see what I was talking about?
What do you mean?
About intelligence being more than a match for anything it tackles. Take the ants. They've got no intelligence. If they had, they'd have attacked along the whole length of the ditch instead of a narrow front like this. They'd have been across by now. No. Too bad I'm not running their campaign for them.
You can joke about it like that with ants halfway across the
All right,
ditch?
men. Busy with the shovels now. Dump some sand and quads on them. See how they like that. You with the petrol sprinklers. Stop popping. Aha! They don't like it, Commissioner. They don't like it a bit. Look at them.
Yes. But look at the ones on the far side of the ditch. Whole clumps of them rolling into the water. The rest are using them for bridges.
Yes. Smarter than I thought. They're widening their front, too.
Some of them are getting across.
Grab a shovel, then, Commissioner. Make them regret it. What's the matter?
They killed him, senor. Let on my eyes.
Get the petrol, idiots. Douse your hands in the petrol. Don't stop now, the rest of you. Club them. Club them.
We cannot hold it back, senor. We must run.
Keep at it. Keep at it. Don't stop now. Aha! Oh, the water's moving faster.
And y'all got the floodgates open.
Yes. They can't hold their own against the current now. Look at them, Commissioner. The water's carrying them away. We've beat them. We've won out. It was true. Leiningen had won. At least the opening round. The floodgates were left open to forestall any night crossing. But when dawn came, the dark blanket was still there, motionless across the ditch. Then we noticed a feverish activity on the other side of the plantation. Here, a grove of tamarind trees lined the far end of the ditch, and every tree swarmed with the crawling insects. But instead of eating the leaves, they were merely gnawing through the stems so that a thick green shower fell steadily to the ground. Well, it looks as if it's feeding time for our friends, eh?
Boss.
Senor.
Have all the petrol pumps brought here. Get everyone over here except the lookouts on the other side. Then pass out the shovels.
Si, senor.
Going to deprive them of a meal?
A meal?
Aren't they cutting down the leaves for food?
No. I wish they were. It looks like I underestimated them when I said they didn't have intelligence.
What do you mean?
I said if they wanted to get across, they'd have to have rafts. And that's just what they've got. Those leaves are their rafts.
Even as he spoke, the leaves went tumbling down the far bank by the thousands. The current drew them away from the bank, and each leaf carried several ants.
Don't worry. As long as you can keep spraying them and shoveling dirt on their rafts, they can't land.
But there will be too many.
It's true. Look, more leaves in the ditch all the time. Why, they'll have a solid carpet to walk across in a minute.
Not so fast, Commissioner. I've still got a trick up my sleeve for them.
The water! The ditch is drying up.
Yes, of course it's drying up. That's the plan. Those are the orders I sent to the dam.
Are you mad? As soon as it's empty, what's to prevent the... Look, the water's way down. It's almost dry. They'll be able to come across the bottom.
They'll not make it. The man at the dam will have opened the gates by now.
To flood the ants?
Right.
But what a chance to take. If anything should happen...
Here it comes. Here comes the water. Yes, we'll give the crawlers a ditch to ride in. Right out to the river. There. Look at them go.
Leiningen's tactics were successful at first. The violent flow of water at the original depth raced through the ditch, overwhelming leaves and ants and sweeping them along. 3 times the ditch was emptied. 3 times the ants raced across its bottom, and 3 times the rushing water, arriving just in time, carried them away. But the 4th time, as the water lowered nearly to the bottom of the ditch, we waited in vain for the rushing waters, and then...
What's the matter? What's gone wrong at the dam?
Yes. Just as the man at the dam lowered the water almost to the bottom, the ants attacked. Before he could open the floodgate, he was almost surrounded. He ran. The ants kept coming. They are across the ditch.
Leiningen stood motionless, absorbing the news of his defeat without a word. Then he raised his pistol and fired 3 shots into the air. The prearranged signal for all the men to retreat instantly to the second line of defense. The concrete ditches more than a mile from the point of the invasion. Soon after we arrived there, the natives commenced straggling in silently. Leiningen waited until all of them had gathered. Then he spoke to them.
Well, lads, we won the first round and lost the second. But we'll smash the crawlers yet. Anyone who thinks otherwise can draw his pay and push off. There are rafts enough on the river and plenty of time still to reach them. You stay then. Good. Thank you, lads. And you, Commissioner?
I can't persuade you to give up the fight?
You cannot.
Then I stay, too.
Yeah. I knew you would.
Senor. You are the ants have reached the ditch.
They're trying to get across?
No, senor.
I didn't think they would. There's plenty of food out there for them. My fields and orchards, the work of 3 years. Ought to last them until morning, anyway.
Yes, we were safe for that night. But the next morning, the black swarm was solid around us, and their shock troops were hard at work. They were dropping shreds of bark and twigs and leaves into the petrol-filled ditches, forming a floating bridge across the surface of the liquid. Leiningen stood silently watching this operation, and I could see a grudging admiration in his face. Then, after several hours, the attack came. Down the ditch they poured, millions of them, and across the bridge of twigs, rapidly approaching the inner side. Leiningen sat motionless, watching them. Leiningen, for the love of God, don't sit there like a statue. They'll be on us in a moment.
Let them fill the ditch first. Now, all right? Everyone back? Blas, hand me the torch. Now we'll see how our friends like a little heat.
Flames from the ditch shot into the air, devouring ants by the millions. It was some time before the petrol burned down to the bed of the ditch, but when it did, the devils came back for more. Again, Leiningen fired the ditch to destroy them. And still again they came on, but at each successive firing, the task of the ants grew easier because of the film of ash which now covered the petrol. And as they returned to the assault time after time, a slow, sickening horror crept into my mind. I looked quickly at Leiningen, then at the petrol tanks. He read my gaze and nodded slowly.
That's right, Commissioner. We could hold them off forever if our supply of petrol was unlimited. But it isn't. We've got enough to
Fill the ditch once more.
Leiningen, isn't there any way at all? We've got to do something.
I know. There must be a way. There must be. Yes.
What is it?
We'll flood the whole plantation.
Flood? But how?
The river's higher than any point except this high ground we're on now. If the river was dammed all the way, it'd overflow that stone breakwater and flood the whole plantation. We've got to close the floodgate at the dam. That'll do it.
You're mad. The dam is more than a mile away, more than a mile away.
Lads, listen to me. Listen, lads. I'm proud of you. Now, there's still a chance. By shutting the floodgates from the dam and flooding the whole plantation from the river. The moment I'm over the ditch, set fire to it. That'll allow time for the flood to wash away the ants. Then all you'll have to do is wait for me.
It's impossible. You can't get to the dam, let alone back.
That's why you're wrong, Commissioner. I'll get there, and I'll get back. Take care of things while I'm gone, huh?
I watched him as he calmly pulled on high leather boots, drew gauntlets over his hand and stuffed the spaces between breeches and boots, gauntlets and arms, with petrol-soaked rags. He shielded his eyes with close-fitting mosquito goggles and plugged his nostrils and ears with cotton. Then the natives drenched his clothes with petrol. Blas, who acted as doctor to the men, smeared a salve over him, and finally Leiningen was ready. And as he stood calmly surveying...
Ready for the run, I realized that this is as it should be. I, Leiningen, would meet the ants and defeat them, or be defeated by them. Leiningen versus the ants. Yes, it was right that it should be like this. But now there was no more time for thought. Only action. I took a deep breath and then bounded across the ditch and among the ants. I ran in long equal strides with one thought, one sensation in my being. I must get through. I dodged the trees and shrubs. Except for the split seconds my soles touched the ground, the ants would have no opportunity to alight on me. I ran on. I was halfway to the dam before I felt ants under my clothes and a few on my face. I struck on them mechanically, scarcely conscious of their bites. And the dam drew toward me slowly. And the distance grew less. Finally, only 100 yards away. 50. Then I was there. I gripped the ant-covered wheel, but hardly had I seized it when a horde of ants flowed over my hands and arms. I strained, and slowly the wheel turned. And turned more. The floodgate was swinging slowly shut. Then it was shut. And the water was rising behind the breakwater. Closer to the top. Closer. And then it was spilling over. Flooding of the plantation had begun. I let go of the wheel and started back through the ants. I was coated from head to foot with the fiends. Tongues of fire stabbed at me as they bit into my flesh. I almost lost my head with the pain as I ran, knocking ants from my body, brushing them from my bloody face. And then one bit me just below the rim of my goggles. I managed to tear him away. But the agony of the bite and its venom drilled into the eye nerves. I saw now through circles of fire into a milky mist. I was almost blinded. But I knew that if I tripped and fell... I ran on, my heart pounding as if it would burst. Blood roaring in my ears, a giant's fist battering my lungs. And then I could see dimly that wall of flame at the ditch, but it was too far away. I could not last half that distance. I stumbled and fell. Felt myself being swarmed over, devoured. Tried to rise. A great weight. And then suddenly the vision of the half-devoured stag in my brain. 6 minutes, then nothing but bones. I couldn't let that happen to me. I couldn't die like that. To my feet. Drag myself forward. Draw the flame. The ditch. The ring of flame. Closer now. Only a little closer.
It seemed we had waited for hours when all at once, through the blazing ring around us, an apparition hurtled and fell full length on the ground. It was Leiningen, alive with ants, unconscious, with glazing eyes and lacerated face. We rushed to him, stripped off his clothes, and tore at the ants that covered him. His body seemed almost one open wound. In one place, I could see a white bone. Later, as the curtain of flame lowered, I looked out where the blanket of ants had been and saw only a vast expanse of water, covering the entire plantation and working its way to within a few feet of the concrete ditch. The ants were gone, drowned, and Leiningen had won. He lay on his bed, his body swathed from head to foot with bandages, but alive and still in command.
Everything in order?
Everything's in order.
I told you I'd come back. Even if I am a bit streamlined.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Leiningen versus the Ants by Carl Stevenson, adapted for radio by Robert Reif, with William Conrad as Leiningen and Lou Merrill as the commissioner. Music was conceived and conducted by Cy Fure. Next week...
You are groping through a dark alleyway in the French Quarter of New Orleans, with terror driving you on. And always before your eyes is the malevolent stare of a voodoo man, striking you with a deadly curse from which you must escape.
Next week, we escape with William Irish's eerie story of a voodoo-haunted band leader, Papa Benjamin. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired out from a strenuous weekend? Get a little too much sunburn? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape. You are stealthily stalking into a silent desert fortress, walking into what you know may be a trap. Around you stand a legion of dead men, and over you an unseen menace hangs in the African night. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight we escape to Africa, to the Sahara, to an earlier day, in one of the greatest adventure mysteries of all time, Percival Christopher Wren's Beau Geste.
The report had been brought to my headquarters in Tokotu 3 days before, and I'd had the squadron on horse and ready to leave within 10 minutes. We've been on continuous forced march ever since. The Camel Scout had reported that the Zindanov outpost was under attack from a force of at least 2,000 Arabs, and that the tiny garrison had little chance of survival. As we came up to the last crest of sand dunes shutting off our view of the lonely mud fort, I ordered my sergeant major to dismount the men and form skirmish lines, while I rode on ahead to reconnoiter. At the top of the ridge, I reined in my horse and sat staring in amazement. Over the 200 yards of bare sand stretching up to the walls of the fort, nothing moved. There was no sound, No sign of life. The oasis off to my left was deserted. The Arabs were gone, and the tricolor of France still waved overhead. Then 2 shots of welcome were fired from the fort, and the bullets kicked up spats of dust off to one side of me. I rode in under the walls and stopped in front of the tall wooden gate. I could see now that every gun slit above me was manned by a grim-faced legionnaire, holding his rifle leveled and ready.
Congratulations, mes amis! Rose and I are proud to salute you. Come now! Why so grim? You are victorious! Inform your commandant that a major of the spies awaits his pleasure. Legionnaire! You up there with the pipe in your mouth. Go inform your commandant, you hear me? Everything in order, mon commandant.
I'm not sure. Bugler, sound the regimental call.
They do not answer, mon officier.
Believe me, Sergeant, when I get inside his fort...
Look, mon capitaine. The man over the gate, he has been shot in the forehead.
Shot? You're right, Sergeant. He's dead.
And the one next to him also.
Wait. All along this wall.
They are all dead.
Impossible. Then who fired the shots when I rode up? Sergeant, get a volunteer. Have him climb up the wall and open this gate from the inside.
If you will pardon me, mon commandant.
Yes?
I will volunteer.
Huh? Oh, all right, Bugler, go ahead.
Oui, mon commandant.
Sergeant, this could be a trap. Have the men take open order at 50 yards and wait. You watch the gun slits there along the wall. And wait we did. 5 minutes, 10. The men began to look at one another, to stir uneasily. The fort was silent. Nothing moved. 15 minutes passed. The gate was not opened, and the bugler did not come back. Finally, my sergeant and I climbed the wall ourselves, and we searched the eerie outpost room by room, but we could find no sign of our bugler, nor of any other living soul. The bodies of the entire garrison were on the battle ramp at the top of the wall, their heads and shoulders jammed grotesquely into the gun slits where someone had brought them, while their dead hands clutched the rifles they would never fire again. Only 2 bodies were not so placed. One was that of a light-haired young man who lay peacefully on his back, his hands crossed over the rifle wound in his chest. And the other body...
This one was the commandant. See, he wears a gold star.
So he does, Sergeant. But he also wears a French bayonet in his heart. He was murdered by one of his own men.
Rifles fired from an empty fort. The bugler has disappeared. I do not like this place.
How in the name of heaven did they stab him? His revolver is still in his right hand. And the other, scrap of paper.
Perhaps the paper explains all of this, eh?
To the High Commissioner of Scotland Yard, I hereby confess fully and freely that I, and I alone, stole the great sapphire known as Blue Water. Signed, Beau Geste.
What's this all about? What does this mean? Mon commandant, these things are impossible, but they have happened. They do not make sense. Why do we not go outside?
This was not to be the end of it. Shortly after dark, a tongue of flame flared suddenly in the heart of the silent fort, and in a matter of moments, the whole interior was ablaze, throwing a great pillar of fire up into the black desert night. We sat and watched it burn. There was nothing else to do. And as I stared at the leaping flames, kindled by some unseen and unknown hand, I realized suddenly that neither I nor any man alive would ever know what strange things had really happened here at the lonely fort of Zinderneuf.
My name is John Geste, and I am the only person alive who knows all that happened at Zinderneuf. My 2 brothers and I grew up at Brandon Evers, south of London. Beau was the oldest, then Digby, and find me myself 2 years younger. I can remember very little of those days as I look back, except that we were happy, as only young boys can be. We read thrilling tales of the French Foreign Legion, sailed toy boats on the Pound, and gave flaming Viking funerals for the tin soldiers who fell in our battles, burning them on funeral pyres of kindling wood, with toy dogs and horse for their feet, while Digby blew taps on his trumpet. Our only queen was cool and lovely Aunt Patricia, with whom we lived. Her husband, Sir Hector, was seldom in England, and if the hurt in Aunt Patricia's eyes grew deeper with the years, while the great estate fell slowly into ruin, and we children knew nothing of it, there were the 2 girls, of course, our cousins. Only girls didn't count at that age. But those days are far away now, and gone forever. And I can remember clearly only that one last night when the 3 of us came home from Oxford. Our cousins were there, and we were all together for the holidays. It was on that night the story of Zindernoth really began. We finished dinner and played games for a while. Now we just sat in the library talking. Gradually, our attention became focused more and more on the small black satin box, standing in the center of the table.
Please, Aunt Patricia, can't we open the case now and look at it? You've had it sitting there for half an hour.
Well, Claudia, dear, I thought you always liked to draw out the suspense as long as possible.
Well, it's been long enough.
I must say I agree with her, Aunt Patricia.
Why, Beau, you do?
I'm afraid so. Come on, let's have our semi-annual look at the family jewel, shall we?
Oh, well, all right then.
I should have my trumpet and blow a fanfare.
There we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the 6 largest and most perfect sapphires in the world, the blue water.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Rather, and I've seen it half dozen times a year all my life.
Go ahead, Claudia. Pick it up.
Oh, no. It's nice to look at, Beau, but when you touch it, it always feels cold.
What about you, John? Would you like to juggle a stone worth 50,000 pounds?
I think I'll just look for a while, Dig. After all, what's happened to the light?
Oh, it must be a fuse. Burden will have them put back on again in a minute.
Please, don't move about and bump into things. I'm quite sure everything will be all right in a moment.
Sort of ghostly. Makes you think of skeleton hands and cobwebs.
Oh, don't be afraid, Claudia. They're among friends, you know.
I swear I felt something touch me.
I can't understand why Burden... Oh, there we are.
Not a soul got lost in the dark. We're probably
Aunt
all
Patricia, look.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, and I think all of us are, who decided to play this joke?
The sapphire's gone. The next hour became a nightmare. None of us present would admit having taken the sapphire. And if the thing had been done as a joke, then already it had been carried too far. Aunt Patricia went to bed finally, telling us that the library would be left open all night, so the prankster, she was not using the word thief, could return the blue water to its case in secret. The rest of us drifted off to our rooms. And an hour before midnight, Digby came in to tell me quietly that our brother Beau had packed a bag and left Brandon Abbas. I turned out my light and sat in the darkness, listening to the ticking of the clock. I was not surprised when 2 hours after midnight, I heard a sound below my window and looked out to see Digby slipping off down the drive. I was fairly certain that neither of my brothers had stolen the sapphire, but I understood what they were doing. Gallant as always, Beau had run away to draw suspicion from those innocent ones who might be hurt, and Digby had followed in order to split up the search for Beau. I could only guess where they'd gone, but long before dawn, I decided where I must go and what I had to do. And so it was that 5 days later, I walked into the Fort Thérèse, into the recruit barracks of the French Foreign Legion in Algeria.
And if they refer to this cattle barn as a barracks, heaven knows what the outfit...
Digby, look who just came in the door. Good Lord, Beau.
It's John!
Hey, John!
Hey, youngster, come here!
Digby!
Hello.
Oh, I'd have wagered 10 to 1 I'd find you in the Legion.
You brainless young idiot. Both of you.
Why? What's wrong, Beau?
Oh, Beau wanted to be the only noble one in the family, John. Pay no attention to him.
Well, there's no need for all of us running away. After all, I stole the blue water.
Don't try to say how you could have, Beau, since I brought it with me.
Had a deuce of a time getting it through customs.
Oh, you did.
Oh, now, look, you two. I've had that sapphire all the time. And if either of you would like to take a look at it...
I wonder who did steal it.
What's the difference? It's driven all three of us into the Foreign Legion now. We're in for 5 years, whether we like it or not.
Fine. What do we do?
Well, we haven't done anything yet. It's supposed to be some kind of an inspection any minute.
You know, you shouldn't have come, either of you. But, well, I'm glad you're both here.
Thanks, Beau. So am I.
I can't say exactly what we're in for, lads, but we're in it together.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I think we're supposed to stand up.
What is it, a man or a gorilla?
I think it's Sergeant Lejeune. The other men say he's a killer.
Hold on there, my dirty little dogs. Three sniveling little purse snatchers if I ever saw one.
Oh, I say now.
Shut up! One more remark and I will be most happy to kick your teeth out of your head. Put out your hands, all three of you. Palms up! Never done a day's work in your lives. Well, we are going to change all that, my little pigs. Sacre bleu, if we are not going to change it, I shall march you through the sand until you drop on your faces. When that happens, I shall kick you until you get up or die. If you choose to die, perhaps I shall go on kicking you after you are dead. You are in the Legion now, my little dogs, and I shall give you cause to know it. You will curse Sergeant Lejeune 10,000 times if you live long enough. And each time you will wish you had stayed in England to be hanged, as you no doubt properly should. Is all of that perfectly clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, that is much better. Recruits, report in full kit to the parade ground in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, fall out and clean up this pigsty. Yes, please.
If anybody want him, I'll sell my share.
Are we in for 5 years of that? He's not even human.
Well, he's part of the Legion, lads, and after all, they didn't ask us to come over here and join, did they?
If you will pardon me, gentlemen, I would like to take the liberty of introducing myself. Francisco Blondin at your service.
Well, we're the Smith brothers, Monsieur Blondin. Beau there, John, and
You
I'm
don't?
Digby.
This is my third enlistment with the Legion, so I know what I am saying. And I can tell you, mes enfants, you have started off on the wrong foot. You should not have antagonized him.
How did we antagonize the good sergeant, Monsieur Blondin?
Well, who knows? Perhaps your hands were too clean, but no matter. For now you have Francisco Blondin as your advisor. We are honored. I stand in very well with Sergeant Lejeune. There are reasons. And I have other contacts, too. I know all the ins and outs of this business, and I can be most useful to anyone who has something very valuable to hide. These men here, they are all thieves, of course.
Oh, good heavens, not really.
There is no time to talk now. But after drill, we will meet in the canteen for a bottle of wine, and I think we shall become very good friends. Au revoir, mes amis.
What? Well, chaps, I can't quite see Mr. Oily as one of our close friends. He overheard us talking about the sapphire, of course.
Well, between him and Sergeant Lejeune.
Hey, signore, pay no attention to me. Pretend I'm only polishing this wood, eh? But listen carefully.
Yes?
Do not trust that man Blondin. He's a thief, a liar. He's a little bloodhound who works for Sergeant Lejeune. When you wish to know something, you come to me. Quantaio. I will take good care of you, eh?
I'll bet you would at that.
Soon we find the chance to talk. I, Quantaio, will fix everything. Do not let anyone steal it, huh? I go now. You be very careful.
Well, along with Lejeune, we now have a bunch of thieves who'll probably try to steal the sapphire. Ho-ho. Come along, lads. Let's find out how they march in the Legion.
And march we did. Hours in the gurling sun and the dust. Day after day. We wondered how much worse it would be on the desert. We grew hard and tough, and we learned the ways of the Legion and the ways of the Legionnaires. Some we liked, and some we hated. But either way, we learned to live with them, talk with them, drink with them. We became soldiers, legionnaires. We longed for active duty, and we got it, even sooner than we hoped.
Rendezvous! Défilé! Pas fil de cœur! And heaven! No!
marched out of City Belarus to the south, and we learned how beastly cruel the desert is. The kafar broke out the second week. That madness that comes when the brain is cooked by the sun. And men became gibbering idiots and died. At Togur, some of the men were detached and sent to Tokotu for cavalry training. Among them my brother Digby, and the rest of us marched on. 2 days later, our commandant went mad and shot himself, and the detachment's command passed to Sergeant Lejeune. On southward we marched to the last southern outpost, straight into the mouth of hell, the fort at Sindenov. If we'd hoped for action, we didn't find it at Sindenov. Day after day went by with no sight of the Arab forces. Nothing but eternal sentry duty. And each dull day was like the one before. In full command now, Lejeune became more brutal than ever. And the men glowered and growled under their breath and whispered together in small groups. In a month, the fort was seething under the surface with madness, hate, and even worse. Off duty for the moment, Beau and I were sitting at the oasis and talking one afternoon. But we heard someone coming toward us across the sand.
Uh-oh. Hold on to your watch, Johnny. There comes that little weasel Gontayo.
Buonasera, signore. You haven't seen no one around, huh?
Not a soul, my little puppy. Goodbye.
No. I must talk with you. You should know what is going to happen.
It must be good. It couldn't be any worse.
You, of course, know the legionnaire named Schwartz, the one who was once a butcher?
I know him. What about him?
Perhaps he's going to become a butcher again very soon, signore. Perhaps he's going to kill a pig.
There are no pigs here.
Oh, but there is one, a great fat pig, a real commandante of a pig.
Lejeune.
I did not say that.
Mutiny, huh? It may take a lot of butchers to kill that pig.
There are a lot of butchers, but for you too, the question is whether to be a pigs or butcher, huh?
We shouldn't like to be butchered, of course, but neither would we like to be eaten by the pig.
It's very difficult, but you must decide. It will happen soon.
Suppose the butchers did kill the pig and started across the desert. They'd be dead in 3 days. First, or from the Arabs.
One must take a chances. Besides, this Lejeune, he plans to kill you for the great jewel which you have. I heard him tell Blondin.
I see. Well, we'll let you know, Gontayo.
No, decide quickly if you wish to live. I must go now. Say nothing to anyone.
No? Rather think we're going to die, one way or another. Glad Digby's out of it.
So am I. Well, we'll wait and see what happens, shall we?
But we were not forced to wait any longer than that same night. I was awakened an hour before dawn by someone whispering in my ear. It was Lejeune, and he held a pistol in his hand.
If you make one sound, I shall blow your brains out. Follow me.
I followed him quietly out of the barrack room with its rows of sleeping men, and we stood beside the oil lamp that burned in the caserne.
I've been informed of a plot to mutiny, and I've been told that you and your brother have not joined it. I'm going to nip that little scheme in the bud. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Eh bien. You will go back in there and wake your brother while I keep you covered from the door. I have 2 rifles here. Your brother will take one of them and kill any man who tries to leave his bed. You will take the other and come with me. We are going to disarm the guard.
Whatever you say, mon commandant.
Va bien. Come on.
We left Beau on guard at the barrack room door and made our way through the sleeping fort, up the ladder to the battle ramp.
Everything is very quiet up here, mon commandant. I have just ordered the sentry into the guardhouse, and the arsenal is locked.
Bien, bien. Go down to the guardhouse and take their guns. Tell them 2 rifles are covering the door, and any man who steps into the night will be shot.
Oui, mon commandant. Portez-vous bien.
We stood there on the ramp, our rifles aimed at the square of light in the doorway, and we waited. I watched the first grey light of dawn filter over the walls, and wondered if Lejeune was going to get away with it. I was given no chance to find out. Lejeune, look! Outside the fort!
Arabs! Thousands! Sacre nom du cochon. We are under attack. London! Turn out the guard! Open the arsenal and pass out the guns! Bugler! Sound us on! Look at the little pigs out there. Sacre bleu, but they'll find before they're done. It's Lejeune they're fighting! Vamos, soldier! Fire that gun!
The men streamed up the ladders onto the ramp, loading their rifles as they ran. They were soldiers, first and last, legionnaires. And in the face of battle, all thoughts of the mutiny were swept aside. Through the whole of that long, hot day, we fought the Arab mob, met their fierce charges, reloaded smoking guns, and fought them off again. All through the night, the snipers crept in close and poured deadly fire into the gun slits. And slowly but surely, our tiny garrison melted away. Lejeune was everywhere, cursing and firing pistols, grabbing bodies as they fell and jamming them back into the ramparts, so the Arabs could have no way of knowing how few we were. As the ghastly night drew to a close, only 4 of us were left, Beau and I, Lejeune and Blantin. And before dawn, Blantin was gone. And then, as the first red rays of the sun swept over the sand...
Oh! Beau! Beau! Never mind, soldier. Get below and bring up a pail of soup. The devils seem to be letting up for the moment.
But my brother, perhaps he's only wounded.
I said get below. I'll take care of him.
I propped my rifle against the wall and went down the ladder. At the bottom, I stopped suddenly. Lejeune would take care of him. He was not going to take care of Beau the way he did the others, by making a grotesque dummy out of his dead body. I climbed back up to the ramp. Lejeune was bending over Beau's body. He had torn open his tunic and was poring over some papers he'd taken from it.
Huh? I thought I sent you below.
You beastly thief! Take your filthy hands off!
There you are. There is no reason why I should not shoot you. You have disobeyed orders. I have no need of you now. I sent off a runner when I heard of the mutiny. There should be a relief force here in an hour or 2. Perhaps 2 or 3 bullets in the stomach would be...
Johnny! I got an ankle, Johnny. Take it.
I plunged forward, whipping my bayonet out of its scabbard, and I drove it into his heart.
Nice work, Johnny. I'm glad I could help.
Oh, Beau, then you're all right. You weren't dead.
That's what you think, youngster. Deliver those letters. Be sure the confession's made. Probably. Be sure. Be sure.
Oh. He gathered up the letters, closed his eyes, crossed his hands over his chest. There's nothing else to do. Then I filled a knapsack with bread, water, and ammunition, prepared to slip out of the dead fort. That moment, an officer on the relief force rode over the ridge to the north. I wasn't sure whether the Arabs were still in ambush, so I fired 2 shots to warn him, then slid over the wall on the far side and sprinted for the nearest sand dune 100 yards away. I must have dropped there and fallen asleep immediately. When I woke up, it was dark, and the moon was just rising behind the black walls of the fort. And even as I watched it, a tongue of flame shot up, and in a moment the whole interior of the fort was ablaze. But why? Why was the relief force burning Saint-Denis? Just then the figure of a man slid over the wall nearest me and came running in my direction. I raised my rifle. Halt, you're covered! Huh?
Oh, hello, old boy. I thought you'd be out here somewhere.
Digby, how did you get here?
I was bugler with the relief force, Johnny. They sent me to open the gate. I hid instead. Things are pretty rough.
Fairly so. Digby, they killed Beau.
Yes, I know. I saw it.
Did you start the fire?
Beau always wanted a Viking funeral. I had to give it to him, you know.
Yes, I remember.
I piled all the furniture together and I covered it with sheets, poured lamp oil around. It was the best I could do.
He'd have liked it, Digby.
I didn't have a horse or a spear, but I did find a dog to burn at his feet.
A dog?
Yes, Johnny. A dirty, rotten dog I found on the battle ramp. It used to call itself Lejeune.
What came afterwards, how we fled southward for many weary miles across the desert, fought bandits, starved and thirsted. All those things matter very little now. It suffices to say that the day did come when I sat once again in the great library at Brandon Everett's, in the same room where it all began on that other night, long before. And I told the story to Aunt Patricia.
How it was all so completely horrible and so useless, Joe. Why did Beau steal the sapphire? Why did he have to do such a thing?
I couldn't say, Aunt Patricia.
So useless.
I have a letter here that he left for you. I haven't opened it, of course.
Please do so at once, John.
Very well.
Read it to me.
He says, "My beloved Aunt Patricia, I may still call you that. When you read this, I should be dead. I took the blue water, of course, or rather the imitation which you had made after you sold the real stone. Oh, yes, Aunt. I knew about that. You wanted the money for the tenants on the estate. I approve. But I also knew how much you feared Sir Hector would find out. I thought that stealing it might help you. If I was wrong, I only hope that you may forgive me.
Dearest Beau.
For my part, I remain affectionately as always, your own Beau Geste.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought to you Beau Geste by P.C. Wren, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, featuring Barry Kroger, Wilms Herbert, Jay Novello, and Ben Wright, with Ramsey Hill, Lillian Bayef, and Peggy Weber. Music was conceived by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Fed up with the everyday grind? Tired out from the summer heat? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. You are trapped in a remote valley in the Andes, walled in by sheer rock precipices, and surrounding you, closing in on you, is a band of blind men who want your eyes. Tonight, we escape to the mountains of Ecuador and to a remarkable world where sight is unknown, as H.G. Wells imagined it in his gripping story, The Country of the Blind.
My name is Ibarra. I'm a mining engineer in Quito, Ecuador, high in the towering Andes. Up until a year ago, my chief sport was mountain climbing. My last climb was an attempt to scale the remote and forbidding peak of Paris Cotopaxi, a 20,000-foot crag unconquered by man. It is unconquered still. 3,000 feet from the icy summit, we turned back and fled for our lives. All of us escaped, except one. A guide named Nunez, who slipped over the frightful precipice and disappeared in the vast chasm, yawning 10,000 feet beneath us. The horror of that man's fall has terrorized my dreams for a year. Because of it, I've forsaken mountain climbing for the rest of my life. And that decision still stands, even though today I've seen Nunez. He was sitting on the steps at my shack when I arrived at the mine this morning. At first, I didn't recognize him. He was so much changed. I thought he was some weird, ragged beggar.
Is it you, Senor Ibarra?
My name is Ibarra, yes. What do you want?
You do not know me, Senor.
No. Well, you look like a man I knew once, but
he is dead. Dead on the slopes of Perisco de Peca.
No. Oh, that couldn't be.
Nunez, that is my name, Senor. At least that is the name I remember.
You fell. I saw you fall.
Yes.
But it's impossible that you could have lived.
Perhaps the gods of the mountain had some reason to spare me.
Nunez, if we had any idea that you were alive, but you went down thousands of feet. We couldn't even attempt to find your body.
I know. I do not blame you. You could not have reached me, and if you had, I should not have welcomed you at first. But then, later, Senor, you will not believe what I have to tell.
I can hardly believe that I'm seeing you, Nunez, talking to you.
You remember that night, the night I fell?
Yes.
We had been toiling all day, inching our way up a steep ice wall, and as darkness came, we found a narrow ledge, barely 3 feet wide.
It's not very wide, but we can get our shelter wall up. Cut off some of this wind.
Well, that will be welcome. Yes, but first we'll rest a moment.
Oh, look at that icy devil up there, glistening in the moonlight.
Yes. There's another 3,000 feet of sheer ice wall. We'll have to cut our own holes from now on. Won't even be ledges like this for resting places.
Oh, I can see why no one's ever made it. Do you think we should go on?
I don't know. Nunez, what do you think? It is not my place to say, Senor. I was hired to go to the top. I agreed. But what do you really think? If I believed in the gods of the mountain as the Indians do, I should be frightened now.
Why?
Because we have invaded the Forbidden Circle. This part of the Andes is unmapped and almost unknown, Senor. It is an easy thing to believe strange things in this white loneliness.
Some of the legends are fascinating. I've heard of one, something about a hidden valley called the Country of the Blind.
Yes. See? It is supposed to be somewhere down there, below us. A fertile valley which was settled many centuries ago and then cut off by the great landslide of Arauca.
Yes, but why the Country of the Blind?
Even before it was cut off, the people developed a strange illness. All of them slowly went blind, and after that their children were born blind. The legend is that the valley was the home of the mountain gods. It was too beautiful for human eyes.
God. But then, of course, it's all nonsense.
Yes, of course.
It would be pleasant to find it, though. You know the old proverb, in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
I doubt if we should ever find it. I even doubt if it exists.
Of course not. I was only joking.
Yes. Now, if you're rested, we'll make the shelter wall.
Right, I'll give you a hand in a moment. Believe me, Ibarra, for 2 pesos, I'd give up this climb. I never realized.
Senor! I fell perhaps 1,000 feet, and then I felt the heavy stinging impact of snow. I'd fallen onto an almost perpendicular slope, and once again I was sliding down, tumbling over and over. But now under me, around me, over me, an immense avalanche of snow was rumbling, sliding with me. Suddenly I realized that my own motion had almost stopped, and it was the snow that was moving. I was riding the avalanche. And at almost the same moment I went over the second precipice. It was higher than the first, much higher, perhaps 4,000 feet. I fell with the snow for what seemed minutes every second, expecting the terrible final impact. But the impact never came. Miracle of miracles, that sheer wall blended almost imperceptibly into another steep slope, and again I was gliding. And gradually, as the arc of the slope curved away, I felt myself slow down. I was whirled along on top of the avalanche, and then, as it subsided out onto the gentler snow upon a gentler slope. And finally, I rolled to a stop and lay still. When I awoke, it was morning, and I was covered with snow. I shook off the cold, white blanket rolled over on my back and looked up. My heart heart almost stopped as I saw from where I'd fallen. The mountain towered 10,000 feet above me. Carefully, I felt myself. My clothes were torn. I was bruised and bleeding. I ached in every muscle, but I had not a single broken bone. I lay there and offered up a prayer to the gods of the mountain. Far below me lay a lush valley sparkling in the morning sunlight. I could see the stately trees and green meadows fresh with dew. I started down, but it was still an arduous descent. The farther down I got, the more I realized the beauty of the scene. For this was a hidden paradise I'd fallen into, and I was the first man ever to see it. So I thought. But I was wrong. I realized at first when I saw the cultivation in the meadows, and then the walks. Well-kept stone walks laid in a symmetrical pattern all over the valley. And then I saw them. There were men and women lying under the trees, resting. Nearby, a collection of windowless huts marked the village, and the plastering of the houses was done in a wild variety of colors. I thought to myself, the plasterer who did that must have been blind as a bat. Then I saw the two men who were quite close to me. They were standing on a bridge over the little stream. They were dressed in odd, loose clothing, and there was a strange look about their faces. They failed to notice me as I approached until I shouted, and suddenly they looked up attentively in my direction. I waved wildly at them, but they took no notice. Why, the fools must be blind. Blind? Could it be I'd fallen into the legendary country of the blind? In the country of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. Hello there.
It is a man. A spirit come down from the rock.
Oh, I'm a man, all right, just like you, but I've had a miraculous escape, and now I find myself here in your valley.
Valley? Valley? Come hither. Let me feel of you.
Certainly, here, my arm, my face. You see, I'm indeed a man like yourself. My lips move with speed. You feel... Oh, careful there. Gently on the eyes.
Eyes? That is strange. Feel this, Correa. Yes, I feel.
Careful. You feel the eyelids flutter?
He is very perfectly formed. Some strange furrows here. I see it.
No, your eyes are shrunken in, but mine are whole. I can see.
See? Pedro is a strange wild one. Where does he come from? Down out of the rock?
No, from over the mountains, out of the country beyond there, where men can see. From Bogota, where there are 100,000 people and the city stretches out of sight.
Sight? What strange words he uses. Without me. I feel the coarseness of his hair. Like a llama.
And you have come into the world? Into? Why, no, out of the world. The big world beyond the mountains. The world that stretches 12 days' journey to the sea.
Our far is the fullest. Men may be made by forces of nature. It is the warmth of things, and moisture, and rottenness. Let us lead him to the elder.
You don't have to lead me. I can see.
See?
Yes, of course. I didn't see your water bucket.
His senses are still imperfect. He stumbles and talks meaningless words. Lead him by the hand.
But look, Oh, well, all right. These people have been blind for centuries. They'd forgotten even the words associated with seeing, and they thought I was an idiot, only half-formed. Especially when they led me into the pitch blackness of one of their windowless huts, and I stumbled over someone else.
Oh, 1,000 pardons, Medina Cerote. He is a clumsy one.
I'm sorry. I fell down. I couldn't see in the darkness.
Who is this? And what is he saying?
He is but newly formed. Has come down from the rocks. He stumbles as he walks and mingles words that mean nothing with his speech. He is a wild man out of the rocks.
No, I come from Bogota, over the mountains.
You hear? Bogota. He uses wild words.
His mind is hardly formed. He has only the beginnings of speech.
Bogota.
Yes. I come from the great world where men have eyes and see.
That must be his name. Bogota. We stumbled twice as we came thither. He must be taught.
No. Don't you understand? I can see, but not in the dark. To you, darkness or light is all the same, but to me, to us outside in the world beyond the mountains,
What are mountains?
Oh, very well, then beyond the rock.
There is nothing beyond the rock. That's the end of the world.
But surely you must realize the sky above covers more than this valley.
There is nothing above but the roof of rock. He is very raw, my children. He should have to be taught. In the beginning, take him away. Feed him. But guide him. See that he does not stumble over my daughter again.
Do not fear, Father. I shall guide him myself. You fear him.
Very well.
Come. Take my hand.
Thank you. It'll be a pleasure to get outside again, out of this darkness.
Come this way.
Yes. What is your name?
Medina Sarosa.
Medina Sarosa. Mine is Juan Nunez. Oh, sunlight. Oh, this is better. And now it's Senorita. You're beautiful. I cannot tell what a wonderful thing you are to see.
Please. I'm afraid for you.
Afraid?
Yes. You do not learn quickly. You speaking such things. They may not be so kind to you. They might be angry. They might even destroy you.
This thought had not occurred to me before. And suddenly I had a twinge of fear. Still the proverb kept running through my mind. In the country of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. But try as I would, I could not make them understand my wonderful gift of sight. They simply could not comprehend it. Worse, they were not impressed. They thought me stupid and untaught, almost an idiot. Day by day, I learned their peaceful ways, but they could not learn mine. It was getting on my nerves, and theirs too, perhaps.
Bogota, come hither. Bogota, you move not.
No, and I won't, you old beetle. I'll show you. I'll leave the path.
Bogota, trample not on the grass. Not loud.
How did you know I stepped on the grass?
I heard, of course.
Heard, but I didn't make a sound.
Why do you not come when I call you? Can you not hear the path as you walk?
I can see it.
There is no such word as speech. Speech is folly. Follow the sound of my feet.
Oh, my time will come.
You will learn. There is much to learn in the world.
Has no one ever told you in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king?
Blind? What is blind?
Oh, never mind. Go on.
Bogota, I must warn you. Just be quiet and learn. And stop this nonsense about seeing.
Nonsense, is it? I'll show you. I've taken enough of your insults. Unformed mind, got no sense. I'll be king here. I can see, and I'll be king.
Bogota, stop it.
No, I'm through with your orders. I'll show you what an advantage sight can be. I can hit you, hurt you. If you can't see me to strike back.
Bogota, put down that spade.
You devil, your ears are sharp, aren't they? But it won't do you any good now. I'll show you. I'll strike. Oh, no, I can't do it. I cannot hit a blind man.
Bogota, pick up that spade. Do not leave it lying on the walk. Someone might stumble.
Pick it up yourself.
Do as I say.
Take your hands off me. Take them off.
Bogota! Bogota! Stop!
I finally lost my temper and shoved him over and ran. The next half hour was a nightmare. Before I reached the fields, they were following me, 20 or more of them, armed with sticks and spades, panning out across the meadows, following my trail like bloodhounds. At first, I wanted to laugh, but on they came, swift, inexorable, and the laugh froze in my throat. They didn't need eyes. They could smell me, feel my trail. On they came, closer and closer, encircling me, closing in.
Bogota! Bogota, there must be no violence. You must come peacefully.
By heaven, I'll hit you if you come any closer. I swear I will.
Bogota.
You don't understand. You are blind. I can see. I can see. Let him. I'll hurt you. I swear I will. Leave me alone. I hit his arm, turned, and ran over the wall outside the valley back to the rocks to the precipitous cliff I'd come down. But when I reached that sheer rock wall, I knew there was no place to go. For 2 days and nights, I stayed outside the valley, hungry and cold. And then I realized the hopelessness of my position. I was trapped. I must spend the rest of my life here. There was no way out. So I went back. I confess I was mad. I admit I was only newly formed.
That is better. And do you still think you can see?
No, that was folly. The word means nothing. Less than nothing.
And what means overhead?
Rock is the overhead. There is a roof above the world, a roof of rock, and very smooth.
Very well. Now,
before you ask me any more, please, give me food or I shall die.
Very well. Give him food. And after that, give him the most menial tasks in the village. Guard him well, and perhaps he shall learn.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that is better. You're kind, Medina Cerote. Very kind.
I'm glad.
You are. If they were all like you, I should never have run away.
What was that word you said I was?
Beautiful.
It means something like?
Oh, something very nice. Medina Cerote, why is it you have no husband?
I have a distant belly. His long hair.
Your eyelashes. Oh, but they're beautiful.
Yes, instead of the children.
Oh, you're the most lovely girl in the valley, but they wouldn't know, would they? And so you have no lover.
No.
Medina Cerote, what do you think of me? Do you think of me as an idiot like all the rest?
No. You have much to learn, but you will learn it, I'm sure. You are kind and gentle. Your voice is soft. You speak the words that are soft and warm. No one has ever spoken such words to me.
Then I shall speak them often, Medina Cerote. You are the only one in this valley, in this world, that I care for. And so it began. I, the village idiot, the slave boy who dreamed to be king, I, with my eyes still whole, fell in love with Medina Cerote, the daughter of the elder of the village. Only to her could I open my heart without fear, and only to her could I speak of the beauty I could see around me. It is a beautiful valley, green with grass and yellow with sunlight, and flowers, bright flowers dotting the hills. And in the cool of night, the stars gleam like diamonds in the sky.
Oh, the words sound lovely. But what are stars?
Stars? Why, they are... But no. No, you wouldn't understand.
And what do you mean, in the cool of the night? You still get that confused one. The night is warm, the day is cool.
No, it is you here who have them backwards. Because the darkness means nothing to you. You work in the cool of night and sleep in the heat of day.
You are teasing me.
Oh, no. I'm... Oh, what does it matter? All that matters is you. You here beside me. Medina Cerote, I love you.
I love you.
I know they still think me an idiot, but you listen to what I say, and you don't think me an idiot, do you?
No. No, I like to hear you speak.
Then, would you marry me?
I would be very happy.
No, I will not have it.
But, Father...
He's an idiot. He has delusions. He cannot do anything right.
But he's getting better. He's better than he was. He's strong and kind. Stronger and kinder than anyone in the world. And he loves me. And I love him.
No, I will not have it.
Great sire, if you please.
Yes? What is it, good doctor?
I have examined Bogota, and the case is clear to me. I think very probably he might be cured.
And how might that be done?
His brain is affected by something. I believe I know what it is. Those queer things he calls eyes. Where we have but an agreeable depression, he has great lumps. Consequently, his brain is in a constant state of irritation.
But what can be done to cure him?
Oh, it's a very simple surgical operation. Remove the cause of the irritation. We will merely cut out his eyes.
But they say it will make you well.
But you don't understand, Medina Cerote. My world is sight. You would not want me to lose my most valued possession.
I do not know.
There are so many beautiful things to see. The flowers, the far sky with its drifting clouds, the sunset, the stars, you. Why, just to see you, it is good to have sight, and I would never see you again.
I wish sometimes you would not talk like that.
Like what?
I know it's your imagination. I love it. But now...
Now? You want me to... Oh, Medina Cerote. If I were to consent to this...
Oh, if you would. If only you would.
What else can I do?
Oh, my dearest one. My dearest, tender boy. I will repay you.
Oh, Medina.
Be brave. Carry my voice in your throat. Now I must go. And tomorrow...
Yes.
Tomorrow will be forever.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Medina. I suppose I knew it then, when I said that. I only meant to go up on the rocks and look out over the valley, to spend my last day feasting my eyes on the wonderful, beautiful world of light and color. But when I got there, it was too beautiful, too lovely, this valley, this home of the mountain gods. Beautiful and forbidden. I drank it in, the green of the fields, the blue of the gently curving stream, the orange of the lichen in the rocky crevices. I climbed higher to see the great snow-capped peaks towering above and away to the distant sky, and higher still as the shadows turned the snow to purple and crimson and deep blue. The valley was far below now, and as beautiful as a painting. But like a painting, it looked unreal. Medina Cerote was small and far away, a distant dream. And the world of sight was here, all around me, overpowering, wonderful. I turned and began to climb up that sheer rock wall. How many months it took me to make my way out over those mountains, over glaciers and snowfields and sheer precipices, I cannot guess. How I lived through the cold and hunger of it, I cannot tell you. But I'm here at last, back from the country of the blind.
Good heavens, man. What an experience.
Terrible and wonderful.
You aren't sorry you came back.
Sorry? I see her face clearly now. It is the only thing I see.
Nunez, come. You need food. Here, take my hand.
Thank you. Where is it, Senorita?
Nunez, you are?
Yes. The god of the mountains has had this revenge. Those months of crawling over the snow and ice with the sun glaring down. Yes, I am blind. Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought you The Country of the Blind by H.G. Wells. Adapted for radio by John Dunkel and featuring Paul Frees as Nunez, Barry Kroger as Ibarra, and Peggy Weber as Medina Sorote, with Wilms Herbert as Correa and Byron Kane as Pedro. Music was conceived by Cy Feuer with Ivan Titmars at the organ. Next week, you are spurring a lathered horse through the darkened streets, trapped between two hostile armies with a bit of magic in your pocket, and the American Revolution in the balance. Next week, we escape with Stephen Vincent Benet's delightful fantasy, A Tooth, for Paul Revere. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Fed up with the everyday grind? Tired out from the summer heat? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are spurring a lathered horse through darkened streets, trapped by two hostile armies, with a kit of magic in your pocket, and the American Revolution in the balance.
Tonight, we escape to an earlier day and to the workshop of a famous wizard, as Stephen Vincent Benet told it in his delightful story, A Tooth for Paul Revere.
Some say it all happened because of Hancock and Adams, and some put it back to the Stamp Act from before. Then there's some that hold out for Paul Revere and his little silver box. But the way I heard it, the American Revolution broke out because of Lige Butterwick and his tooth. My great-aunt was a Butterwick, and I heard it from her. Every now and then she'd write it out and want to get it put in the history books, but they'd always put her off with some trifling sort of excuse. But the way she told it to us kids, sitting there before the flickering fire on some blustery, blowy night, it sounded spooky enough and wonderful enough to be as true as the Union.
History books, bah. You don't get the right of things from such. In the story of a nation, it's the queer corners that count. The tales that get whispered down through families. Now take Paul Revere, for instance. All most folks think about is his riding a horse. But he was a silversmith by trade. And there was a kind of magic in that hand of his. I could see just a little bit farther into the millstone than most folks. And in that little shop of his on those fateful nights, he sat over a miraculous flame and brewed the revolution in a silver teapot. And then he put it into a little silver box, no bigger than this.
That's the way my great aunt talked about Paul Revere, and the chills ran up our spines. But it takes all kinds to make a country, she used to say, and it isn't till the plain ones, like Lige Butterwick, get stirred up, that things really start to happen. Lige was just an ordinary sort of man, without special vision into a millstone. It might be a grand day in the history books, but for him it was just Tuesday, till he read about it in the papers. Folks could argue and fret about Boston tea parties and British warships in Boston Harbor and British soldiers in Boston streets. But Lige Butterwick just tucked his tongue and wondered how the corn might stand this year on his farm outside Lexington, Massachusetts. One day, Lige Butterwick woke up with a toothache. The hot salt pack and the tansy tea his wife fixed for him didn't seem to help much. On the third day, Mrs. Butterwick tied a string to the tooth and Lige stood by the door.
You ready?
Uh-huh.
Well?
Marthy, when it came to the pinch, couldn't quite do it.
So, that's how Lige Butterwick came to ride into Lexington, Massachusetts that day. He just had to see somebody about that tooth. And when he got there, the town was in an uproar.
Lige Butterwick.
Eh? Oh, good day to you, neighbor Williams.
Lige, I didn't expect to see you here today.
It's my tooth.
Tooth? What do you mean?
Huh?
Oh? Isn't it exciting?
Exciting? The toothache?
No, you idiot. All this. Have you seen them yet?
Seen who?
Why, Hancock and Adams, of course. John Hancock and Sam Adams. They're at the Parson Clark's.
Only folks who come here to see was the barber. Figure he's the only one who can do something for my tooth.
You don't fool me, Lige. You're probably just as excited as I am. Have you cleaned your musket?
Musket? Why, it's 5 months of hunting season yet.
That's where you're wrong, Lige. Looks like hunting season may be early this year. Huh? Keep your powder dry.
Huh?
And so Lige Butterwick came to Lexington, and it was a great day for the history books, and to him it was just Tuesday. And his tooth was jumping, and he went to see the barber as the likeliest man he knew to pull a tooth. But the barber took one look at it and shook his head.
Now, I can pull her out all right, Lige, but she's got long roots and strong roots, and she's going to leave an awful gap when she's gone.
That's true.
Now, what you really need, though it's, of course, my business, one of these here artificial teeth to go there in the hole.
Artificial teeth?
Yeah.
Land of mercy, it's flying in the face of nature.
Nothing of the kind, Lige. Artificial teeth is all the go these days. Lexington ought to keep up with the times. But it would do me no good to see you with an artificial tooth. Yes, indeed it would.
It would do you good, but supposing I did want one, how in Tunket would I get it in Lexington?
Now, you just leave that all to me. You'll have to go into Boston, but I know just the man. Here, if I can find this. I had his prospectus here somewhere. Oh, yeah, it's here. See here? Just I'll call Revere in Boston that fixes him, and they say he's a boss workman.
Revere?
Yes, now you just listen to this here. Whereas many persons were so unfortunate as to lose their foreteeth. Now, that's you, Lige.
Oh, yeah.
To their great detriment, not only in looks, but in speaking, both in public and private. This is to inform all such that they can have them replaced by artificial ones.
I see.
That will look as well as the natural and answer to the end of speaking to all intents. Oh, yes, and then see, it goes on. Oh, his name. Yes, his name's right here. Paul Revere, goldsmith, near the head of Dr. Clark's wharf in Boston.
Sounds well enough, but what's it going to cost?
Oh, I know Revere. Comes through here pretty often, as a matter of fact.
Does?
Yes, and he's a decent fella, even if he is a pretty big bug in Son's Liberty. Now, you just mentioned my name.
Well, it's something I hadn't thought of, but in for penny, in for pound. That's today's work already, and that tooth's got to come out before I go stark staring mad. But what sort of man is this Revere, anyway?
Oh, he's a regular wizard. A regular wizard with his tools.
Wizard? I don't know about wizards, but if he can fix my tooth, I'll call him one.
So, Lige Butterwick got back on his horse and started for Boston. He rode through the busy, excited streets of Lexington, and when he came opposite the residence of Parson Clark, He saw a little crowd collected, men staring, so he stopped his horse for a moment and looked.
Mister, is that them?
Is it who, son?
Mr. Hancock and Mr. Adams, sir. There, through the window. Tall, handsome man and the short man with a face like a bulldog.
I wouldn't know, son. They're strangers to me. Get up.
When he got to Boston, he began to feel queer. And it wasn't only his tooth. He hadn't been there for 4 years, and he'd expected to find it changed, but it wasn't that either. The sky was clear and beautiful, but Lige felt like there was thunder in the air. It was uncanny. And the people, there'd be little knots of them on the corners, but when you came up to them, they seemed to melt away. Or they'd look at you and stop talking. And then he came to the harbor. Out there in the port of Boston, riding black and grim to the British warships. He'd known they'd be there, of course, but it was different somehow, seeing them with their guns pointed in at the town. Suddenly he felt uncomfortable. Felt he'd like to turn and go home. But he was hungry, and so he went to a tavern for a bite.
Good day to you.
And what may I do for you, stranger?
Just a bite and a sup, if you're serving.
Aye. Have a seat. You'll be served.
Thank you. Nice weather we're having these days.
It's bitter weather for Boston.
Well, now maybe for Boston, but out in the country we'd call it good planting weather.
I guess maybe I was mistaken in you. It is good planting weather. For some kind of trees.
Trees. Well, now, I suppose you're right about that.
That's so. And what kind of trees would you be thinking of?
There's trees and trees, you know.
Now that you ask me...
You meant the Liberty Tree. And may it soon be watered in the blood of tyrants.
Now, the Royal Oak of England, and God save King George and loyalty!
Hey, boys! Hey, stop! I didn't mean... Glory. I always heard city folks were crazy. But politics must be getting serious in these American colonies when they start fighting about trees.
Oh. Aye, and it is, friend.
So they threw you out, too?
Yes, blast them. But I want to shake your hand. Nobly done, friend. I'm glad to find another true-hearted man loyal to the crown in this pestilent, rebellious city.
Well, I don't know as I quite agree with you about that. But I came here to get my tooth fixed, not to talk about politics. And as long as you've spoken so pleasant, I wonder if you could help me out. You see, I'm from Lexington way, and I'm looking for a fellow named Paul Revere.
Paul Revere? No, so it's Paul Revere you want, my worthy and ingenious friend from the country. Well, I'll tell you how to find him.
Good, I thank you.
You go up to the first British soldier you see and ask the way, but you'd better give the password first.
Password?
Yes, you say to that British soldier, any lobsters for sale today? And then you ask about Revere.
But why do I talk about lobsters first?
Well, you see, the British soldiers wear red coats, so they like being asked about lobsters.
Oh.
Just try it and see. Just try it, my friend, and see.
Pardon me, sir. Do you have any lobsters for sale today?
What? How dare you seize that man?
Barrel. Place to hide.
Down that way. Come on, Sergeant.
Huh?
You can come out now. They've gone past.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Nice. Look at your clothes. That was a tar barrel you jumped into.
Yes, I'm a sight.
What were they chasing you for?
I really don't know. Guess I didn't give the right password.
Password?
Yes, but all the same, I don't think soldiers ought to act like that when you ask them a civil question. But city folks are soldiers. They can't make a fool out of me. I came here to get my tooth fixed and get it fixed I will if I have to surprise the whole British kingdom to do it.
Good for you, sir. Can I be of any help to you?
You can, boy. Tell me where I may find the silversmith, Paul Revere.
Oh, that's easy. Right before your eyes. There's a sign hanging down by the wharf, and that's his shop. I work there.
Well, now, those soldiers did me a good turn after all. Come on, boy. Now maybe I'll get my tooth fixed.
Then Lige Butterwick was in the shop of Paul Revere, silversmith, goldsmith, jack of all trades, sculpturer of artificial teeth, brewer of revolutions, wizard. The shop itself was small and dark, with mysterious shadows lurking in the corners and the back. It was crammed full of the wondrous products of its owner's skillful hand, gold and silver objects of great beauty, prints of Boston and caricatures of the British, art boxes and bottles filling the shelves. At this particular moment it was also full of customers, and Lige Butterwick, with the cautious shyness of the countryman, sank back into a corner seat out of the way and watched as Paul Revere waited on several customers. And the last of these was a grand lady who looked like an irate turkey gobbler.
Oh, Master Revere, I'm so disappointed. When I took the things from the box, I could just have cried.
It's I whom disappointed, madam. What was the trouble? Must have been carelessly packed. Was it badly dented?
No.
I'll speak to the boy.
No, it wasn't dented. But I wanted a really impressive silver service, something I can use when the governor comes to dine with us. I certainly paid for the best. And what have you given me?
I've given you the best work of which I'm capable, madam. It was in my hands for 6 months, and I think they're capable hands.
Oh, I know you were a competent artisan, Master Revere, but...
Silversmith, ma'am.
Well, I don't care what you call it. I know I wanted a real service, something I could show my friends. And what have you given me? Oh, it's silver if you choose, but it's just as plain as a picket fence.
Simple, plain. You pay me high compliments, madam.
Compliments indeed. I'll send it back tomorrow. Why, there isn't as much as a lion or a unicorn on the cream jug. And I told you I wanted the sugar bowl covered with silver grapes. But you've given me something as bare as the hills of New England, and I won't stand it, I tell you. I'll send to London instead.
Send away, madam. We're making new things in this country. New men, new silver, perhaps who knows a new nation. Plain, simple, bare as the hills and rocks of New England, graceful as the boughs of elm trees. If my silver were only like that indeed. That's what I wish to make it. As for you, madam, with your lions and unicorns and grape leaves and your nonsense of bad ornamentation done by bad silversmiths, your imported bad taste and your imported British manners, puff, away with you. Puff, puff, puff. Puff, I say.
Oh.
William?
Yes, sir?
Put up the shutters. We're closing for the day. William, no word yet from Dr. Warren?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, what's that? Well, who are you there in the corner?
Well, Mr. Revere, it is Mr. Revere, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
It's a kind of a long story, but closing or not, you got to listen to me. The barber told me so.
The barber?
You see, I'm Lige Butterwick, and it's my tooth.
Tooth? You'd better begin at the beginning. But wait now. Here, you don't talk like a Boston man. Where'd you come from?
Oh, around Lexington way. And you
Lexington? Were you there this morning?
Well, of course I was. That's where the barber I
Never mind
about
that barber. Were Miss Hancock and Mr. Adams still at Parson Clark's?
Well, they might have been, for all I know. But I couldn't say.
Great heaven, is there a man in the American colonies who don't know Miss Hancock and Mr. Adams?
Oh, well, there seems to be me. But speaking of strangers, there was 2 of them staying at the parsonage when I rode past. One was a handsome man. The other man looked more like a bulldog.
So they are still there. And the British ready to march. Did you see many soldiers as you came to my shop, Mr. Butterwick?
See them. They chased me into a tar barrel. There was a whole parcel of them by the common with guns and flags. Looked as if they meant business.
Thank you, Mr. Butterwick. You're a shrewd observer. You've done me and the colonies an invaluable service.
Well, that's nice to know. But speaking of this, too...
You're a stubborn man, Mr. Butterwick. All the better. I like stubborn men. I wish we had more of them. Well, one good turn deserves another. You've helped me. I'll do my best for you. I've made artificial teeth, but drawing them is hardly my trade. All the same, let's have a look. Here, come over here by the light.
Aye.
And now, open.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Butterwick, it appears to be compound agglutinated infection of the upper molar.
Oh.
And I'm afraid I can't do anything about it tonight. But here's a draught that will ease the pain for a while. There. Drink.
It's spicy and queer.
Never mind. Now you go to a tavern, get a night's rest. Come back see me in the morning. I'll find a truth drawer for you. If I'm here. Oh, yes, you'd best have some liniment.
It's a queer kind of shop you have here, Mr. Revere.
Some folks think so.
Say, what's in that little bottle?
Where? Oh, there. That's a little chemical experiment of mine. I call it Essence of Boston. But there's a good deal of the east wind in it.
Essence of Boston? Well, they did say you was a wizard. It's genuine magic, I suppose.
Genuine magic, of course. And here's the box with your liniment. No, not that one. This one.
Ah, thank you. But that other little box there, the little silver one with the stars on it and the elm tree.
Oh, yes. You like it? Pick it up.
Mighty pretty work.
Thank you. My own design. 13 stars there. See them?
Uh-huh.
You could make a very pretty design with stars. For a new country, say. If you wanted to. I've sometimes thought of it.
But, what's in the box? It feels queer.
What's in it? What's in the air around us? Gunpowder, war, making of a new nation. But the time isn't right yet. Not quite right.
You mean that this here revolution that folks keep talking about?
Yes.
In this box? Glory be.
Master Revere, it's come. The message from Dr. Warren.
William, my riding boots. Now hurry, I must be off. Sorry, Mr. Butterwick, but I must rush. Take your liniment and come back tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm back tomorrow, I'll help you.
Yes,
Good day, sir. Good day.
It wasn't till Lige Butterwick was alone in his room at the tavern where he was to stay the night that he realized what he'd done. In the bustle and haste of leaving Mr. Revere's shop, he had picked up the wrong box. Instead of the box of liniment, he held in his hand the little silver box with the 13 stars upon it. He hadn't quite believed Mr. Revere when he talked about the box, but then everything had seemed so almighty queer since he'd arrived in Boston. And his tooth ached, and his head felt light, and he, being human, was curious. He looked for a keyhole, but there was none. The box wouldn't open. He shook it. Suddenly, it felt warm, as if there was something alive inside it. He held it to his ear.
Great Godfrey.
Now, Lige Butterwick was feeling scared. But he was feeling kind of good, too. And then he found out that he was talking to himself.
Well, I'm not a Britisher. I'm a New Englander. And maybe there's something beyond that. Something people like Hancock and Adams know about. And if it has to come with the revolution, well, I guess it has to come. Can't stay Britishers forever here in this country. But what am I going to do with this box? Too big a job for one man. Guess we'll have to take this back to Paul Revere.
First, he went to the little shop on Clark's Wharf, but it was closed up tight. And it was a while before he could rouse anyone. Then it was the boy, William, who opened the door.
Oh, it's you. Well, Master Revere isn't here.
But I've got to find him. Can you tell me where he's gone?
Why do you want to know?
Got something for him. He needs it.
You wouldn't be a spy for the British now, would you?
A spy? Me?
Well, then what is it you got for him?
This box. Little silver box. Took it by mistake. Think it's important.
The box? By the flag, it is important. But he's gone. Gone to warn the Patriots that the British are coming.
Which way, boy? Which way did he go?
Across the river, to Charlestown.
All right, thank you, boy. I'll be following.
No, you don't get any boats from me. There was a crazy man long here an hour ago, and he wanted a boat, too. My husband was crazy enough to take him. And then, do you know what he did?
No, ma'am.
He made my husband take my best petticoat to muffle the oars so they wouldn't splash when they passed that Britisher ship. My best petticoat, mind you.
Huh.
When my husband comes back, he's going to get a piece of my mind.
Was his name Paul Revere? Was he a man of 40-eyed, keen-looking, kind of Frenchy?
Don't know what his right name is, but his name's Mud with me. My best petticoat tore into strips and swimming in that nasty river.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll get a boat elsewhere.
Mr. Butterwick, sir, be careful. You're rowing us right under the stern of a British man of war.
Don't worry, I see it.
Please, Mr. Butterwick, shh.
Ahoy there! Good day, Mr. Bishop. I guess not. Thought I had a boat.
Be careful, Mr. Butterwick.
All right, boy.
Revere, he's been gone an hour.
Gone? Gone where?
Riding to Lexington to warn Hancock and Adams as soon as he spied the lights up there in the North Church.
I've got to catch him. It's this box. He's got to have it. Where can I get a horse?
Right over here. Come on.
Out through the darkened streets of Charlestown he rode, on into the black of the countryside. Once he got lost, but he found his way again and rode on. It was just dawn as he came in sight of Lexington, and the dew was glistening on the green of the April grass. But Lige Butterwick didn't notice the beauty of the dawn. The little silver box was hot now and burning in his pocket. And then suddenly he reined in his horse. For there on the road were two men carrying a trunk, and one of them was Paul Revere.
Well, Mr. Revere, say I'm on time for that little appointment about my tooth.
Well, it's you. You are stubborn, Mr. Butterwick.
Ah, well. But you've given me a merry chase all night.
I've had one myself. Been captured by the British once and escaped. Don't know what's still in store for me, but we're carrying a precious cargo here in this trunk. We're bringing to safety all the private papers of Mr. Hancock and Mr. Adams.
Which reminds me, I've something for you here.
What? A silver box. You've got the silver box.
By mistake, and it's getting frightfully hot in my hand.
Yes, my friend, and little wonder. Look across there, Lexington Green.
The green? Why, there's a line of Lexington men. And there across the creek, facing them, is a column of British redcoats.
Aye, lined up with guns they are, Mr. Butterwick. They've come to arrest Mr. Hancock and Mr. Adams, and the Minutemen stand before them.
Mr. Revere, I'm a peaceable man. I've had little notion of politics. But I don't like what I saw in Boston. I don't like soldiers chasing peaceable citizens into tar barrels or uppity ladies with imported British manners. And I don't like British redcoats on Lexington Green. That I don't.
Mr. Butterwick, what you doing?
I'm stamping on your silver box, Mr. Revere. I'm breaking it open.
Do you know what you've done? You've let out the American Revolution. Look, they've fired the first shots.
Well, I guess it's about time. And I guess I'd better be going now.
But, Mr. Butterwick, where are you going?
Home. Got a musket on the wall there. I'll be needing it.
But here, what about your tooth?
Oh, a tooth's just a tooth. But a country's a country. Anyhow, doesn't ache anymore.
As Escape, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, tonight brought you A Tooth for Paul Revere by Stephen Vincent Benet, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, and featuring Harry Bartell as Lige Butterwick, Parley Bear as Paul Revere, and Barry Kroger as the narrator. Special music by Ivan Ditmars. Next week,
you are deep in a fabulous cavern in the mountain, surrounded by a horde of angry natives from a lost world, held at the mercy of the most beautiful woman in the world, the terrible queen called She.
Next week, we escape with H. Rider Haggard's famous story, She. Good night, then, until the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.